Mike. Cool. To answer your question, no, I'm not explaining shit at all. We're going to be watching a video today, and in the future we'll be watching even more videos explaining many different aspects of Dark Souls and different things like that. One day Mike is going to show up. Who the hell is Mike? Who is Mike? Anyway. So no, I am not going to be explaining anything because I can't explain nothing. Today, like I said, I explained it in different videos. He means Mike. You know, I'm so locked in on how I do my intros for my streams. I literally ever since that one hiccup where I streamed and for 2 hours as I streamed the microphone was messed up, I'm just locked in. So I'm just like, no, I had no context. That went right over my head. Hopefully you guys are doing good today. Like I previously just said, that we are going to be watching a lore video, not only of Dark Souls 1, but of Dark Souls 2 and of Dark Souls 3. This video that was found by Slickmeister and Manduit in the chat, shout out to y'all, is going to be one of many that we watch in these kinds of streams. He does it all. I literally do it on autopilot. Like I don't even think about it. I'm just like, nope, Mike. So yeah, so far, this playlist was put together by Slickmeister, but you can always, if you guys want to find videos for your boy to watch regarding the lore of Dark Souls or Elden Ring or whatever the case may be, you can join the Discord, link in the description, and then put it in the lore channel, drop the video there, and we'll go from there, you know what I'm saying? Still waiting for the Left 4 Dead 2 Nightmare mod run. I did say I was going to do that, not gonna lie, I forgot. I forget a lot. I'm not gonna lie, very forgetful. It's a bad habit of mine. Ooh, I got a little pimple growing. It's fine. I'll take care of it tonight. There's it. Right there. So yeah, this video is gonna be literally 2 hours, 52 minutes, and 39 seconds. So this is gonna be the only video that we watch for today because what the hell? Wait a minute, Michael Zaki? No, not that server admin. No sir, not the man that consistently goes out of his way to. I'm just gonna hack and mod and infiltrate his challenges. Speaking of challenges, I did say I was going to talk about it. As I mentioned in the Discord, but I wanted to announce the next run that we're doing for the channel, which will be starting on Monday. I did not finish the thumbnail though, so you're not going to see the thumbnail probably until Monday. I'm sorry, I've been a little swamped. But the next challenge run that we are doing is one that I've actually done for another game, so we can't do it in succession, unfortunately. It is going to have to stop at a point. That is going to be the Broken Straight Sword run for Dark Souls 1 and now Dark Souls 2. You saying Mike nonstop and fast reminds me of Birds from Finding Nemo. That yeah, that's part of the inspiration. We'll be doing Broken Straight Sword for Dark Souls 1 and Dark Souls 2. And luckily for Dark Souls, at least for Dark Souls 1, I didn't look into Dark Souls 2 yet. For Dark Souls 1, we can farm those undead guys that has like a 2% drop rate for the Broken Straight Sword. We'll farm them with the Straight Sword hilt. And eventually we'll get the Broken Straight Sword and then the run will start from there. So I think that'll be a pretty cool challenge, especially since I've done so many runs for Dark Souls 1. And this will be the very first challenge run that we do for Dark Souls 2. And you'll be seeing that within the next few weeks or so. You know for a fact he is always watching because Bind the Blind always gets the BKH. Why not a why not a Dragon Sword run? I feel like if I'm gonna do a Dragon Sword run, I might as well just do a dragon based build, like a dragon build, you know, versus just specifically a Dragon Sword. Because if it's just a Dragon Sword, it's gotta be, I don't know. I want something a little bit more full. You know what I'm saying? I gotta sink my teeth into these challenge runs. We talked about it a little bit in the Discord earlier today, but I'll mention it here, and then I'll mention it, of course, when we start the run for Dark Souls 2. It will be on that Covenant of Champions difficulty, and I will not be using any life gems for the end, from the beginning of the run all the way up until the end. That's a scary idea, but I trust myself at this point to do it. When do you think you'll complete the trilogy as Blub? Honestly, it'll probably be after the Broken Straight Sword 4. Maybe not. I think Blub's trilogy is kind of it over. And the reason why I say that is because we literally, for 80% of the game, I used the club for Dark Souls 2. I use swords every so often, but I, for the most part, predominantly used a club. So I'm like, I kind of already did it. I feel like if I do it, it's not going to be that interesting because we've already seen the damage output. I was hitting for like 700 per charge. I can't help it. I like the club weapons. So I kind of already did it. I kind of already did it. When I said Dragon Sword, I meant the Weapon of Guts. Oh, you mean like a great sword? Like a great sword run? I could see that. I could see a great sword run. I could see that. Yeah, totally. We could do that in the future. But for now, let me go ahead and get this video pulled up here. Because I'm ready and I got my snacks. It's just some popcorn to watch as we dive into the world of Lothric. What's it? Lordran, Lordran, Drangleic, and Lothric. It's just 3 different worlds. All smash dabbed into one. Oh god, it already started. Shut up! Let me get this pulled up here, turn it up in my ears. Here we go. Wanna do a pyro build like you did in DS1 and DS3? I never said I wasn't gonna do that. I never said I wasn't gonna do these runs. I said that the next one is the Broken Straight Sword. That's the next one. Pyromancy, Miracle, Great Sword, whatever is in the future, but it's not next. It's not next.
Dark Souls is one of the best series of all time.
You gonna stop pressing play when I don't want you to. Let's get into some lore. Typically, I would like wrap myself up in a blanket, but I don't want to die from heat exhaustion. So, I know I'm just giving ideas. I know. These are some of these ideas. I'm like, I already did. This was already in my mind. So we already here. Let's do it. Wait, so is it Broken Straight Sword plus Company of Champions, or will that be its own run? Both. The only thing that I will never do in Dark Souls 2 is Frigid Outskirts. I've seen what I needed to see of that. Someone suffered on my behalf, which was a random stranger on YouTube 14 years ago, and went through it. Cool, awesome, love you, hope your sanity and your mental is straight. I'm not touching that area. Not doing it. You can't pay me enough money, invalidate my review for it, or whatever the case may be. I don't care. I'm not touching it. I've seen it. My review of that area is cancer out of 10. There you go. Smart man, I wish I made the same choice. Yeah, not doing it. Not doing it. So I wanted a serious, real deal challenge. We already talked about how some of the bosses are in Dark Souls 2, and that is that they're kind of Weenie Hut Jr. easy. Very easy to telegraph, but I had a very strong build. It wasn't on the Covenant of Champions difficulty, and I had literally 99 gems on every single boss run. So that space is called No Man's Land for a reason. Oh, that place is called that. Yeah. I'm cool, bro. Not doing it. Not for your boy. So let's finally get this thing started, shall we? Oh yeah, and I got my my coffee here because I took a nap, so I'm still a little sleepy. I'm waking up, but here we go.
Dark Souls is one of the best series of all time.
Sure is loud for y'all.
Complex yet remarkable narratives I've ever had the pleasure of uncovering. It's filled with so many ideas, themes, and values that breathe life into this series, and its various interpretations allow people to add in their own details, ultimately making their playthroughs a unique experience. So today, I want to take some time to talk about the trilogy. I want to not only retell the game's main stories, but also critique them along the way. I'm going to examine why specific parts of the game...
I agree, not just a reused double Alva, fuck you. It's like, okay.
That out of the way.
Not doing it.
Watching, and I hope you enjoy.
So when you did your runs for Dark Souls 2, did you explore the frigid outskirts or did you exclude that area?
It's got a wonderful story that would set in
Not your initial one, but like your challenges. I know you've done a few challenges on Dark Souls 2. Did you touch that boss, the double Alva and frigid outskirts as well? Or did you avoid it? Because if you avoided it, I still respect it.
numerous events that would occur throughout the trilogy, but with just within the bounds of its own game, Dark Souls 1 has some incredibly deep and rich lore filled with some of the greatest backstories this series has to offer, and today I want to discuss why. So without further ado, let's get started.
Do it.
The opening cinematic of Dark Souls 1 starts with a gray world, one that is filled with giant trees and dragons, and while the world stayed like that for a while, one
No
day
idea.
fire
What's
was
my first
born.
one?
As for how this fire came to
Respect.
be, well, it's never explained. This is one of the many things we just have to accept. The world of Dark Souls is fantasy, and many things just can't be explained. It's never mentioned how the first flame was created, as it just happened. But
Correct.
because the first flame was born, disparity came with it. Life and death, heat and cold, and light and dark. This description is literal. Since the first flame was created, the people of the world felt its warmth and understood what heat was. When they walked away from the flame, they realized its heat didn't reach them, which created the feeling of cold. The discovery of fire during the Stone Age is to this day the greatest discovery known to man, and
If I had a pet from a video game, which one would it be? Childs from Sonic. I don't know. That's a no-brainer for me. I'm having a child. Baby child. Not a dark one. I'm not abusive. He's gonna be an angel.
in Dark Souls, this is no different. Given how unique something like this in the world of Dark Souls was, those who discovered it were obviously attracted to its power. 4 notable people would discover Lord Souls next to these flames and be given immense power. These people
Okay.
were Nito, Izalith, Gwyn, and the Pygmy. From the intro, we can infer that there was these people were Nito, Izalith, Gwyn, and the Pygmy.
Okay.
From the intro, we can infer that there was a civilization of people that existed during the Age of Ancients. Izalith had daughters that were with her when she found her Lord Soul, and Gwyn had his knights with him, implying that people did exist during the time of the Age of Ancients, but weren't of much value to the world given how powerful the dragons were. Eventually, Nito, Izalith, and Gwyn would band together and use their power to overthrow the dragons. Gwyn used his lightning, Izalith used her flames, and Nito used his death and disease. They also received help from a Seath the Scaleless, a dragon who betrayed his own kind.
Oh
Now that
yeah.
the new
Okay.
lords were on top of the food chain, the Age of
Live
Ancients
and
was
learn.
more
What's going on with you, my boy? Glad to see you here. Made it just in time. We are just getting started. Diving into the lore of Dark Souls 1, Dark Souls 2, and Dark Souls 3. So y'all get cozy, bro. Because we're going to be here for some hours.
the Age of Fire had begun. This period would last thousands of years until we get to today. Currently, the fire is fading and it needs to be rekindled in order to keep it lit. But doing this is not as simple as it sounds. You may have noticed I forgot to talk about the Pygmy. Well, the Pygmy had a unique soul called the Dark Soul. Using his soul, he created something called humanity. He would then share this humanity with his people. These Dark Soul imbued people became known as humans. The Pygmy is essentially our ancestor. Gwyn feared this power though and created the Dark Sign, which inadvertently caused the undead curse.
Gwyn did that to us?
People became known as humans. The Pygmy is essentially our ancestor. Gwyn feared this power though and created the Dark Sign, which inadvertently caused the undead curse.
Bro, it's smoke season every time I see Gwyn. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. We were fine. Our ancestor who was like, you know what? Let's give life to some cool people. They're chill. They ain't gonna hurt nobody. Gwyn said, oh, nah. Potential. What? Oh, we're snuffing that out now. Like, sir. He's the reason why the NPCs that you meet along the way, the friends you made along the way of the journey, die and go hollow and go crazy. He's the reason why that happens.
This isn't explained much in Dark Souls 1, but it is by far the most important plot in the whole series. And while I just wanted to talk about this game for the whole video, this needs to be explained or else the rest of the video going forward will make no sense. The Undead Curse, the Dark Sign, and the fading of the fire are all linked.
Do these people create these lores themselves or do it come... So, Dark Souls, Elden Ring, Bloodborne, I would imagine. Maybe I think Bloodborne and Sekiro are more clear. Some of these games are very obscure, right? They're very deep and rich in lore, but you almost have to kind of dive into the archives to find that lore for yourself. They're just not that clear. You know what I'm saying? You're kind of just thrown into it, and then you're left, even when you beat the game, and yet, you know, you had a good time, you kind of want to know why you did what you did in the first place. And that's where these videos, these beautiful content creators come in, Bots Video, I think this guy's name is Jingu. What's his name? Yeah. That's where they come in and break everything down for your boy. For somebody that might be a little more. So, he feared humanity and wanted the age of gods to never end. That's why I don't support Linking the Flame. So we maintain the age that he worked so hard to keep, basically, which is why he goes out of his way to even take out the dragons. This man eliminated all threats to the age that he established because he saw it as immoral, saw it as chaotic, saw it as potential to overthrow what he established. I see. It's making sense. Your boys. Yeah. So whenever I fight Gwen now going forward, because I told y'all Dark Souls 1 starting on Monday, I'm viciously destroying that man.
Dark Soul gets more powerful the closer the fire is to fading, thus meaning humans should get more powerful over time. Gwyn screwed humanity twice, by rekindling the flame, thus removing our chance at power, but also by branding humans with the dark sign. Think of this as a literal wall of fire that prevents the dark soul within men from getting too powerful. The dark sign only activates when the flame is fading, because...
Yeah, but you kill the gods to link the flame, so you just keep everyone turning. So you just link the flame, so you just keep everyone... Or we keep everybody from turning hollow by linking the flame. So if we don't link the flame, everybody becomes hollow because of what he did.
That is when the dark soul within men starts to grow stronger. This dark sign also prevents humans from dying, but it also causes them to go undead. These fleshy creatures were once undead humans, but they have crossed the barrier of no return. Even though humans are able to revive after death, eventually this will cause them to lose their humanity, lose their minds, and lose their purpose, causing them to go hollow. These creatures are hollows, beings who don't even remember who they are, where they are, or what they're even doing. Gwyn likes being on top, and he fears the day that he will lose his power, so he'll do anything he can to prevent that from happening. He did this by branding humanity with the dark sign, but by also rekindling the flame, which is known as the first sin. See, the world is like a set of operations. Things are born, but eventually they'll die. But then more things will be born, only to die soon after. That's just the way the world works. But Gwyn broke the laws of the world by rekindling the first flame. It was meant to be extinguished, but due to Gwyn wanting to hold on to what he held dear, he couldn't dare see it go. He sacrificed himself by using himself as kindling for the first flame. Since he had one of the 4 original Lord Souls that came from the first flame, it was deemed sufficient enough to be used as fuel, and thus the Gauge of Fire continued.
Wow.
As we know, it is fading once more. The undead curse is back. Humans are...
So it's like, even when you try to keep it forever, it's still fading. You can't keep it. I'm sorry. That's crazy.
And the world is in chaos. Doesn't this sound like a fantastic story?
Yes.
That's because it is. This intro and even the
That's
game
a great
has a
foundation.
sense of desperation within our characters. How far are people willing to go to get what they want or keep what they have? And while each of their desires is different, it always comes out the same. Dark Souls 1 is just the start, but the actions of its characters will continue to echo throughout the entire trilogy, and we're just getting started. After the opening cinematic, we get to see the state of the world as it is today, or at least the state of this prison. We're an undead that is sitting in their cell awaiting the end of the world. But one day we're given the key to our cell and are able to leave. This person is Oscar, and he speaks of a prophecy.
There is an old saying in my family.
Shout out to Oscar, man.
Undead art chosen. In thine exodus from the undead asylum, maketh pilgrimage to the land of ancient lords. When thou ringeth the bell of awakening, the fate of the undead thou shalt know.
This prophecy also happens to be the main objective of the game, but it's only the first part. The rest we'll have to discover later. The intro of Dark Souls 1 sets up a new world by showcasing multiple important events in the world's history, and also gives us enough information to understand the basic premise of the game, while also purposely withholding some of that information to give us a reason to seek out said information. One thing we need to consider, though, is our character's motivations. Why even bother making the trip to Lordran, the land of lords? Well, what else is there to do? It's the end of the world, and you were just given the keys to your cell, allowing you to explore the world to your heart's content. Even if you're convinced that life is doomed and the world as we know it will disappear for good, why not make the most out of it? Have some fun, kill some hollows. It's a whole lot better than rotting in a cell. With our objective laid out to us thanks to Oscar, we can...
And that was like even more sad to know that those hollows really were human beings. They just turned. Because eventually it happens to all of us. Dog Skull, what's going on, buddy? Welcome to the stream. How you doing? How you feeling?
Head out to Lordran and ring the bells. Technically, the first area you're meant to go is the Undead Burg, but one wrong step and you can make it to New Londo. Out of all the Souls games, Dark Souls 1 will provide the best blind playthrough, as due to its connected world, players will go in different directions, which in turn will create different experiences. New
Sure.
Londo is actually a late game area, since the enemies here are quite strong and the boss at the end of the level is quite tough, but you may stumble upon this area by accident within 5 minutes of arriving. This is due in
I
part to
did.
Dark Souls 1's level design.
I was
which
so
may have the
confused.
best level design in the whole franchise. It's been coined as a Metroidvania, a genre that started with the games Metroid and Castlevania. These games have non-linear progression, as
Good thing you run through the whole game and don't kill anyone. A pacifist run.
many areas can be accessed right away, but others can't, causing the player to go around the map looking for the key, then running back to that same location.
I like games like that. Give me the freedom to explore. Let me go everywhere. I love it. I absolutely love it. Hypothetically, you can't avoid going hollow like Andre does by keeping some sort of purpose or not dying, but it's very hard. It's clearly difficult because Lucatile. Nah, Lucatile felt like her purpose was just not. I don't know, cause she still went hollow too. Damn. So if your will is strong enough, if your purpose is strong enough, that shows how strong Andre is. Cause Andre's been around for a very long time. His only purpose, his sole purpose, is just to make the best weapons possible. And it's a constant, ongoing purpose to where it can't be penetrated. Nothing can get in the way of that, because that's his sole purpose that can't be fulfilled. That's crazy. His sole purpose is something that he will never fulfill, ever. It'll never happen. So he keeps making weapons. He'll make the really good weapons and great weapons, many different great trinkets and shields and whatnot. Andre is Grandpappy's brother. Yeah, they are. They're actually brothers. They are. They are. Yeah. I might have etched that into the lore there, but it applies. It's crazy, man.
The door is found pretty early on in your playthrough, but the key is
Crazy.
found much later. Plus, you'll also have to remember where that key goes. You'll be doing lots of running in this game. The highlight of one of my play sessions was going from Blighttown to Andre because I forgot to ascend my weapon before a boss fight.
Yeah.
Meaning I had to take a 3-minute walk up to him,
Still
then a
sucks,
3-minute
though.
walk back down. In future titles, this would be remedied by fast travel, but Dark Souls 1 doesn't have fast travel initially, and even when you do gain the power of fast travel,
There's only
by
set
the war
points.
vessel, it's not the typical fast travel we're familiar with, as we're only allowed to travel to specific bonfires.
Mhm.
These decisions further immerse the player into the world as it's all one connected level, and since they're all connected, that means you can see certain levels from different places, such as Blighttown, which is visible from Firelink Shrine. So not only was the level design of each area taken into account, but also how the levels connected to one another and how this connection would affect other areas.
Correct.
Regardless of where you end up,
I've always
whether
liked that about
be
this
New
game.
Londo or Undead Burg, the very first enemies you'll come to see are these hollow men, like the ones back in the asylum. All the undead we see here are humans who have lost their humanity, causing them to go hollow. And now since we are human, we should go hollow too. However, it's a bit more meta than that. Hollowing is a bit hard to define as everyone can go hollow for different reasons, but the two main ideas seem to stem from constant death or loss of purpose. Given that our character is set on ringing the bells, he never goes hollow despite being undead, as he still has a purpose. Should the player quit and uninstall the game, they would lose their purpose, so permanently quitting the game is sort of like hollowing in a sense. I don't think everything needs to be explained with lore, so this is more than likely just a gameplay mechanic, but that's how I've interpreted hollowing. On our way to the Bells of Awakening, we'll come across various different locations, but
I think that is something I do like about Dark Souls 2, which people probably might not, but I like it. The idea of the more you die, you actually get punished. You literally lose like half your HP bar, and your character looks more and more and more dead. I actually like that quite a bit, because you've technically gone hollow, and whenever anybody goes hollow, from what we've seen, especially like the NPCs, they lose all their skill, bro. They are nerfed. They're nerfed. They're nerfed individuals. They're just nerfed versions of themselves, kind of walking around aimlessly, attacking anything on sight, and then just dying. Sad. Very sad.
there isn't a whole lot of backstory involved in their creation. Locations like Undead Burg are just undead settlements, and the Valley of Grix is just a valley filled with Grix. The
Correct.
only exceptions, though, are Ash Lake and Blighttown. Blighttown is next to a location called the Depths, and at the end of the Depths is the Gaping Dragon. And while an interesting boss, what's more important is the arena. We can see water coming from the depths and going into the sewer system, which leads to Blighttown. According to various keys in the game, we can piece together that those who previously lived in the Undead Burg but were banished from the settlement were sent to Blighttown as punishment. This is reinforced by the giant door that separates the sewer system from the outside world. But this water from the sewer is poisonous. Well, in Blighttown, there's a spell called Poison Mist, and according to its description, it seems that Enki, this egg-bearing individual, may have caused this as he was the creator of the Poison Mist spell. It's not fully confirmed that he did this, but it's clear that Blighttown isn't in the greatest state.
Oh, you a
Due
bitch.
to the circumstances surrounding Blighttown,
What happens in DS2 is just you becoming undead, since Hollow is becoming a corpse without humanity. Ah, I see.
that the townsfolk seem to have built above the water in hopes of getting away from it. This is a common theme in these games of things being built on top of one another, as we see Blighttown above the swamp, the depths above Blighttown, and the Undead Burg above all that. The idea
That's
of
crazy.
pushing things down and leaving them to fester is also a common theme within this game, but not everything is in such a sad state. As at the lowest point of Lordran, we see Ash Lake, a seemingly infinite land filled with arc trees that are surrounded by an equally infinite body of water. For the purposes of Ash Lake,
I would
this
live at
is
Ash
where
Lake.
The dragons used to live, or at least
Yep,
one part
totally
of it.
would.
It's eerily
Totally
similar
would.
to the environment in the intro, which we do know was the land of the everlasting dragons. We can even find one of the few remaining dragons down here in Ash Lake. He's a part of a dragon covenant in-game, and from various descriptions, it seems like many people worship the dragons and try to
No, when we
it's unclear.
do Dark Souls 1 on Monday, because that's when the next run starts, it is going to be a broken straight sword run. It's going to be no New Game Plus. Like I said, New Game Plus runs, they don't really interest me because you kind of already have what you need. The only difference is, like, especially in Dark Souls, you do see different variations of certain items like the rings, but everything else for the most part is just same. They're just a little beefier, a little tougher, and that to me, I'm like, nah, that's not for me personally.
If that worked. Once the player feels confident in their fighting abilities, they can approach the bosses defending the Bells of Awakening.
This man knew what he was doing, and I respect it.
These
He knew what he was doing.
And Chaos Witch Quaylat.
Where are they? There they are. Give me 1 second. I gotta grab some. This man knew what he was doing. This man was cooking. This Jingy guy, bro. This man was actually fucking cooking. This man knew exactly what he was doing. He knew I will be watching this video and placed her on my screen. I respect it. He played the long game. Now go Sword Hilt. If I did it, so can you. Sword Hilt, huh? We're gonna see what the damage is hitting for. We're gonna see what the damage is hitting for on Monday, and I'll do some research over the weekend to see how much damage we can get out of it. If it's decent, the Sword Hilt does 2 damage. Y'all like to see me in pain, don't y'all? I'll think about it. I'll think about it.
After ringing both bells, we'll see that
damage?
Sen's Fortress, a place that was originally blocked with a large gate, is now open. But if we travel back to Firelink Shrine, we'll find a primordial serpent named Frampt. He claims to be a close friend of Gwyn's, and also claims to know our fate.
Very well.
And doesn't scale with anything.
Then I
That
am
sounds
pleased to
awful.
share. Chosen undead. Your fate.
The only game I will consider doing New Game Plus is in DS2 because it actually adds stuff. Really? Things like what? Pray tell.
Is to succeed the great Lord Gwyn.
No, the Lord Gwyn can
So
suck my
that you
nuts,
may
bro.
link the fire,
Nah.
cast away the
Nah, we
dark,
doing the dark ending forever.
undo the curse of the undead. To this end, you must visit Anor Londo and acquire
my seat,
the
hold on.
Lord Vessel.
There we
Just like
go.
before, this second
I'm
part
like,
of
why
the
can't I
puzzle
see past my
also
microphone?
happens to be our newest objective. But Frampt is quite a complex character.
He's a
If
snake.
certain conditions are met within the game, we can also be granted an audience with Koth. He, however, tells us a different story.
Your ancestor claimed the dark soul and waited for fire to subside. And soon the flames did fade, and only dark remained.
New enemies, new boss drops, and obviously it's harder. Interesting. That's why I did an int build for the magic weapon buffs, but I still only did 70 damage at 70 int. Only While you have Calamite poking its nasty ass Woody the Woodpecker beak at you and dying immediately. I dodged that dash, and then Calamite just landed on me and I died. I'm hitting for 70, and we might not be doing that. I'm not gonna lie. We might be doing the Broken Straight Sword. It might be nerfed, but it ain't no damn 70 damage. Good lord.
Thus began the Age of Men, the Age of Dark.
So it wasn't just the fact that the fire was fading that caused Gwyn to rekindle it. The flame actually went out. Furthermore, despite being the same species, both Frank and Koth have different views on it.
That makes
Frank
sense.
wants to keep the Age of Fire going, but Koth wants
That
to
makes
usher in
sense.
an Age of Darkness. The question is, who do we trust? Well, that's up to you as the
I was gonna say neither of them.
the game.
Make my own
Extinguish the
choices.
Flame or rekindle it. The choice is yours. What is important to note though is their motivations. Why are they doing this?
Right.
Why are they against each other? Well, we still don't know, and it's been a widely debated topic that hasn't been given a proper answer yet. Regardless, I don't think you should trust any of them. Frampt claims that the undead curse will be cured if we link the flame, but this is incorrect. As we'll see in Dark Souls 2 and 3, the curse is still present.
Yeah, right,
Frampt
right.
and Koth are like politicians. They say what needs to be
Son of a bitch. And I wasn't allowed to use armor. Who made this rule for you? Who made this challenge? Who put you through this? If you say yourself, we're gonna go to betterhelp.com and get you some help. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna get you the assistance necessary, because for you to do that to yourself willingly, tell me somebody did it. Like tell me your pops did it to you or some shit. He said, you know what? I took away your game system. You don't understand. I took away your TV. You don't understand. Beat Dark Souls 1 Sword Hill only. No armor. Myself. BetterHelp.com. I don't have a deal. I don't have like a sponsorship. But BetterHelp.com. And there's a little Bible I want to refer to you as well. I was going to say book, but it's the Bible. Get a Bible and pray. Talk to the man upstairs. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing it.
said, but never elaborate.
Broken
By
Straight
technicality,
Sword.
The undead curse will be cured when we link the flame. As we know, the dark sign only appears when fire fades. If it's not fading, then the curse of the dark sign is gone, which means the curse goes with it. But it will eventually come back. Things are meant to run their course, so over time the fire will fade again and the curse will come back, just not in our character's lifetime. Frampt, whether intentional or not, is leading the player to believe that the curse will disappear permanently, when indeed it only just disappears for a few thousand years. But Koth is also lying, as he isn't fully explaining what this Age of Darkness entails, and as we'll see, Koth isn't exactly the nicest person in the Souls universe. I've always seen these two as immortal beings, ones that are ageless, and due to this, when the time comes, they like to move the pieces a bit and see what happens. Koth and Frampt are basically playing a long game of chess, but without the stakes. Regardless of who wins, they both continue to live. One just managed to convince the chosen undead more, so why not cause a bit of chaos? A lie or two here wouldn't hurt anybody, as it's just extra pieces.
Slick Meister, what's going on, Brody? Welcome in. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the lore dump. Get cozy. We gonna be here for like 2.5 more hours. Sorry for being late. I was recording a video. You're fine, bro. We're just getting started.
On the board to them.
We're just
To this
beginning.
day, we still don't know what they really want from us and whether their goals they conveyed to us were actually genuine. My interpretation of these could be wildly incorrect, but that's the beauty of these games. They allow you to shape your own story and create your own adventure, and in my story, I don't trust these two.
Me
Regardless
neither.
of who you believe, the one thing
Me
we
neither.
agree on is that we
That's the
must
one thing
focus.
Grandpappy told me. He said, you know what? You can place me in any of your universe you want. Place me in Dark Souls too, because I don't trust those snakes. And he told me specifically, don't trust them either. Don't place your faith in a snake. The audio is quite low. I think the video is low, because even in my headphones it's just low. I'm going to try to turn it up for you guys as much as I can. But the video is just low. I don't know why he's talking so low. The video, I turned my headphones up to 100 and everything.
Thus, we need to get to Anor Londo. To get there, we'll need to pass through Sen's Fortress, a place filled with deadly traps and is easily the most infuriating area in the whole game. The fortress is also used as a sort of trial, as this leads us to Anor Londo, but many people have
One of the
tried
best
to
areas in the
get
game.
there. This is, of course,
Short but
due to
sweet.
the numerous traps throughout the fortress and the Iron Golem at the top.
I
although
know.
He was surprisingly the easiest part.
No, it's
of
like
the
very
fortress.
quiet.
Once
We
the
need to
golem is defeated,
turn it
we'll
up a
be
little
trapped
bit.
by these demons and taken to Anor Londo.
don't like these things. They're annoying. They annoyed me on my last run when I was the Onion Knight. Never gets old. That'll never get old. What you eat
It's
them?
hard to forget your first time in Anne Orlando.
Just
I
some
think the
popcorn.
Orleans point has been more extravagant and beautiful.
Shit is
looking
good.
place, and that's what makes it so memorable. In a world devoid of beauty and color, there's this incredible place that just exists, but it's on the other side of the wall. But something is off. It feels empty. We showed up late to a party, and in a more metaphorical and
You
literal
don't have to give me
sense,
my snacks, man. Had
this
to.
place is gorgeous, but if you'll excuse the pun, it's also quite hollow. Lots of your time in Anne Orlando is spent walking, but if you manage to make it past these giants and exploit the AI of these Silver Knights, then you'll make it to the climactic fight of Ornstein and Smough. ONS is undoubtedly my favorite fight in Dark Souls 1. The balance of these two is unmatched, as Ornstein is a quick, nimble fighter that can go halfway across the arena just to hit you, but his damage is nowhere near as staggering as the force that is Smough. Whereas Ornstein instills fear from his speed, Smough's fear comes from his power.
Yeah, don't ever use his weapon. The only thing I will say, I want to use the Smough hammer for sure. I'm never using the Dragon Slayer spear, whatever the fuck. Nah, bro. It came in clutch for Manus. Never again. Never again.
Ornstein at the beginning
Never
of the fight is
again.
more or less a pusher.
Never
He does
again.
deal decent damage, but it's not enough to warrant a healing.
I am okay.
No amount of damage resistance, especially this early on, could protect you from Smough's hammer, and one hit from this hammer can make Ornstein seem a lot more threatening.
Yep.
Their power grows from the other's presence, as the more Ornstein chips at your health, the closer you are to being within one-shot range of Smough, and if Smough hits you once, well, there's...
I almost thought you were the one playing the game until I realized this guy is actually good. Get off of my nuts, Carl. Carl, get off of my damn nuts. And that's the one. And number two, I'm very good. I'm excellent. Do you think an NPC knows that they are an NPC? Nah. I don't think they're that sentient. I think they're so involved in the world that they're not paying attention like that. Like, they're not a Deadpool that just knows that they're in a video game. You know what I'm saying? Ornstein's armor should have been lighter for dex builds. I agree. With him moving around and whatnot, I think the overall armor should have complemented that as well if we wanted to select it. And then his weapon should have been better. Because his weapon is some hot doo-doo. Why make Ornstein's armor heavy and tanky? He's a dex build. I agree. I'm right there with you.
nothing that can compare to that level of stress. They feed off each other in such a balanced way. In fact, they actually feed on each other, as whoever falls first becomes the power source for the other. Their health also goes back to full, so it's never about dwindling them down over time, it's committing
Yo,
to
Smough,
one
your
that's
armor
sticking.
is
The
crazy,
problem is
bro.
knowing
His
when to
armor
strike
is
and how.
insane.
Given how well they complement each other, it might seem like there's never an opening, and that's what makes them such a difficult fight. Given how well they
That
complement
damage.
each other, it might seem
This is demonic. My whole health bar is just deceased at that point.
like there's never an opening, and that's what makes them such a difficult fight. All that's required, though, from the player is patience. It's arguably one of the best fights in the game, and even the series as a whole, and I can finally see why. While ONS may seem like
I don't know about the
climax
series,
is
but
finished
definitely in the
already,
game.
Hold your load, as behind them is the real climax, the Princess of Sunlight, Guinevere. Feel
I saw what he did there. See, I like this Jingy dude, bro. That man said behind the door is the real climax. You're damn right, bro. Smough's armor is insanely practical for how it looks. Is it really? Oh, it's using the crap gargoyle helmet. So for one, that helmet, it's not crap. People don't know the secret intricacies and stats that's aligned with the gargoyle helmet. People don't know. People know. It's actually very, very, very dangerous. You put on the helmet, whenever you get down to 20% HP, you actually get a 255% damage buff upon everything. Weapons, spells, even your flask does damage now. DS1 damage makes DS3 damage make it look like they are tickling you, brother. Because that looked bad. That damage just hurt.
as behind them is
That
the real
was
climax,
damaging.
the Princess of Sunlight, Guinevere. Feel free to interpret climax however you want. She is the one who gives us the Lord Vessel we need to
Dang,
prepare.
there's only one way to interpret it. It has 2 sets of fake eyes, and it is thick as hell, made of gold. That's what I'm saying. What are they doing to see me? What are they doing to see me? Because the helmet is Balenciaga.
But as I said earlier, it feels like we arrived late to his party. Well, I wasn't lying. Once the post-nut clarity settles in, if we attack Guinevere, the world of Anor Londo shows its true
He
colors,
just put my
an
business
area
out there.
that's just as depressing as everything else in Lordran, and the one responsible for this illusion is Darksong Gwendolyn. Gwendolyn is an interesting case to me, as he was the last-born child of Gwyn, who was a male but was raised as a female.
Right.
This was due to his strong affinity with moon magic. I'm not sure what the connection is, but maybe it's some sort of cultural thing where the moon is seen as a sort of feminine symbol, which would actually explain a lot.
I was gonna say, because even isn't Priscilla in Dark Souls? I think that's Priscilla. That's in that tower. Isn't she the person you talk to get be a part of the Dark Moon Covenant? Like, why is the moon so associated with femininity? That's interesting. Everyone has done it and doesn't regret it. Respect.
Regarding a future game and two of its characters.
Respect.
Gwendolyn also created the illusion of Anor Londo to seemingly entice the chosen undead to continue their duty. Remember, Gwendolyn only appears when we kill Guinevere's illusion, meaning that this is actually Gwendolyn speaking to us through his sister. He also shares the same viewpoints as Frampt, which is interesting as—
So this is what Anor Londo looks like. Like, it's the illusion was the fact that it was bright as day and beautiful, and then the minute you mess up that by killing Guinevere, this is what Anor Londo really looks like. That is crazy. That's actually crazy.
He's basically telling us to kill his father and continue the Age of Fire. Gwendolyn seems to want to hold on to the power his family has and keep things running smoothly, which is why he wants the Age of Fire to continue so that his family and their powers can stay. And the reason why he created the illusion of Anor Londo was also to desperately hold on to the past. I guess it runs in the family then.
Yeah.
As for how Guinevere fits into this, well, she was Gwyn's second
he took right after his father.
Like many other deities left Anor Londo. She would then meet with a flame god Flann and later become his wife. Besides these two, Gwyn had two other children, but we'll have to wait for Dark Souls 3 to discuss more about them. So Anor Londo, the city had two other children, but we'll have to wait for Dark Souls 3 to
Nameless. Who else?
Discuss more about them. So Anor Londo, the city of gods, this place that was supposed to be seen as a beacon of hope to all within Lordran is just an illusion. But Anor Londo isn't the only illusion of Lordran. By making our way to the painting inside the city, upon touching it, we're thrown into the painted world of Ariamis. Ariamis as a concept is fascinating, as it's this world within a world, and these people inside the painting could possibly never know of the world.
It is beautiful.
From exploring this hidden world, we learn that Ariamis was made for things the gods feared. Ariamis is home to the followers of Velka, and Velka is known as the goddess of sin. Furthermore, this is the only location in the game where you can find the Dark Ember, which according to its item description is used to make occult weaponry, weapons that were favorable amongst those who plan to kill the gods and their kin. Velka was more than likely someone who wanted to hunt the gods but was killed or thrown into the painting. It's clear that this place has a malicious history behind it, but it's not all bad, as the person who watches over Ariamis is crossbreed Priscilla. Priscilla is a half-human, half-dragon crossbreed. Due to this unique birth, she also gains some unique abilities, mainly the ability of Life Hunt, which she uses on her scythe. These powers of hers could threaten the gods' rule, so they also threw her into the painted world. But what's rather interesting is Priscilla herself. She's the only boss in the game that doesn't want to fight us. She even tells us how to leave Ariamis, meaning not only does she have no intent of enacting revenge, but she knows how to leave yet refuses. Priscilla may have felt how these new arrivals feel, but instead of using vengeance, she uses acceptance, and instead welcomes these people into her painted world. It's actually quite wholesome, and is the reason why I couldn't kill her. Every boss in this game is held.
It's always the 10 out of 10 who are evil. Her, Millennia,
want to, and in fact, help me.
Relina.
So I left.
We still don't know if Miracle is a good person or not.
Make this place a proper home for her people. This whole area is swarming with hollows and other.
It's a damn shame.
To kill us, but they were either tricked into here or.
So Priscilla is unironically one of the strongest Dark Souls characters. The power scaling is crazy. Yeah, so much so they threw her in a painting. They said, "Nah, you threaten everybody." Crossbreed between human and well, I don't know if she's human, but whatever they are in dragon. And has the ability of Life Hunt. Yeah, you gotta go in. They put her in a painting and said, "Forget about it. Rule over here and never come out." Like, that's crazy.
Creatures that want nothing more than to kill us, but they were either tricked into here or thrown in because the gods willed it. And yeah, some of them probably.
Is she evil or just against the gods? That's true. It's all a matter of perspective.
Themselves here, then who am I to intervene? After acquiring the Lord Vessel, when we meet with Koth or
Mm.
Fremd, they'll tell us that to gain access to Gwyn, we must gather the remaining Lord Souls and use them to satiate the Lord Vessel. These Lord Souls belong to 4 individuals: Seat the Scaleless, the Witch of Izalith, Nito, and the 4 Kings, 3 of whom you will have already recognized. From here, we can tackle the game in any order we want, so let's start with the 4 Kings.
I just remembered, because he keeps saying the Witch of Izalith, and I keep remembering that the Witch of Izalith that has the 4th soul is Bed of Chaos. It's kind of annoying. I personally hate the gods. Yeah, based off of how he's telling this story, they don't sound good. Like, they sound fucking terrible.
The 4 Kings are, well, 4 kings who ruled over New Londo. They were given fragments of Gwyn's soul, which is why we need to kill them. You may recognize their boss location, as this is the same dark abyss that we met Koth in. Well, long ago...
Oh, so Koth, so this is where he shows up. This is where Koth shows up. He shows up after this fight?
The 4 kings were
'Cause I never come back here.
and were consumed by the abyss.
Never
This
do.
caused the kings to go mad, and this also caused the citizens to either become these blobs of mass or the Dark Wraith soldiers. This area really utilizes the environment to tell its tale, as this place
There's a reason Radahn was nerfed with Super AIDS. Millennia had to weaken that. Yeah, you're right. Because Prime Radahn is an issue. An absolute issue. We either fought the decrepit, dying Radahn who lost his mind, or the one that was under the control and influence of Mikla. We've never still, to this day, fully fought Prime Radahn. Sentient, cognitive, in his mind. Right in his mind. We never fought that Radahn. We still have not. I feel like he still would be stronger, because Mikla's disgusting.
is overrun by the ghosts of the villagers. And when we
Disgusting.
actually unlock
Mikla's
the
gross.
Lower New Londo, we see piles of
Koth only shows up if you kill the 4 kings before placing the Lord Vessel. Interesting.
corpses scattered throughout the land.
Okay.
Koth single-handedly destroyed an entire city simply by tricking its inhabitants and unleashing the abyss upon them. While the mass extinction of a city sounds bad, corpses scattered. This area really utilizes the environment to tell its tale, as this place is overrun by the ghosts of the villagers, and when we actually unlock the door to Lower New Londo, we see piles of corpses scattered throughout the land. Koth single-handedly destroyed an entire city simply by tricking its inhabitants and unleashing the abyss upon them. While
What the fuck is the snake's problem? What is wrong with you? Why would you do that to these people? Yeah, technically 4 kings can be the 3rd boss you fight, and as long as you don't talk to Frompt, he spawns down there. So I have to not place the Lord Vessel and not speak to Frompt either, which is not that hard. Because Frompt, we ain't got nothing to talk about. I don't trust you either. At all. That's very interesting.
the mass extinction of a city sounds bad, there is still more destruction to be seen. One thing you may have noticed is a severe lack of human bosses. Quelaag would probably count as the first one you'd meet, although she's sort of half-human.
Don't do that. Don't say probably. She counts. Let's not do that. Let's not be speciesist. She counts. She's a person. She's human. You already know. I don't think Koth tricked them because the gods were the ones who decided to flood New Londo. Who can you trust though? That's what makes this game's story so interesting, is because like you get bits and pieces of the story and you still don't know who to trust. You still are just like, I'm not sure. I don't know. Cause that's how I'm feeling. I'm like, Koth tricked them. The gods were the ones who decided to flood New Londo. So both of them are bad. New Londo was just a normal town. And they both came in and just fucked shit up, turning people into blobs and dark wraiths. And then causing the 4 kings to go mad as well. Jesus, bro.
But there's a reason for this, as this has to do with the Witch of Izalith. While Gwyn was frantically running around trying to figure out what to do with the flame, the Witch of Izalith had a plan. She was going to create a new flame that would replace the first flame, but she attempted to create a replica in the presence of the very thing that was created, which brought with it massive consequences. The Witch of Izalith wanted to create a new first flame, but there was already a first flame present in the world.
Right.
There can't be 2 first flames. Due to this, the flame that she created couldn't be contained for long, causing it to erupt, and this not only consumed her and her children, but also created new life, as it gave birth to demons. The asylum...
Whoa, really? So she tried to make the first flame while there was a first flame there. Because they can't coexist, the consequences was it erupting, not being able to be contained, and forming demons. Wow. That's crazy. Koth and Frompt are definitely weirdos, but so are the gods. Yeah, yeah. That's what I'm gathering. The gods, them, because they have their own agenda. It's literally like the City of Thieves from Hercules. You can't trust nobody. That is crazy.
Due to this, the flame that she created couldn't be contained for long, causing it to erupt, and this not only consumed her and her children, but also created new life, as it gave birth to demons. The Asylum, Taurus, and Capra Demon, roughly the first 3 bosses in the game, were created from this event. In fact, anything that has the word demon in it is most likely derived from this flame of chaos. But not only was new life created, old life was altered. All of Izalith's family who were caught in the explosion were all transformed into demons themselves. Chaos Witch Quelaag, the Fair Lady, and Ceaseless Discharge all transformed into demons.
They're all related to the. Okay, this is a lot. So they're all Quelaag, her sister, and Ceaseless Discharge. They were people, and the Chaos Flame turned them into that. Damn. I mean, I already. Wow. The dragons truly were the best. Yeah, poor dragons. Yeah, because it seems like the dragons weren't doing anything. They were just unbothered. Why did Seath even go through the process of betraying them? They weren't doing anything.
Chaos Witch Quelaag, the Fair Lady, and Ceaseless Discharge are 3 of Izalith's children. Just as Gwyn was desperate to continue the Age of Fire in an attempt to keep what he had, so too did Izalith, but the consequences are a reflection of her actions. In an attempt to give life to something bright and warm, she ended up giving life to something cold and dark.
She had good intentions though. She did. I blame the gods on this one. She had really good intentions. Like, she wasn't trying to cause all this to happen. She definitely wasn't trying to end her family or to completely alter them to where they became legitimate demons and monsters. Like, that sucks. She didn't even know. Seath probably knew they were going to lose, so he chose to betray them. They were just chilling in immortality minus Seath. Wow. Because I don't think he said so much about the gods yet. What did they do? Like, to jumpstart everything. They put the battery in Gwyn's back for him to start that war against the dragons? I want to make sure I'm following correctly.
She also wanted to extend the Age of Fire in order to continue her prosperous life with her children, but by doing so, she ended up making their lives a living hell. Not a single person in this family tree is living a robust life anymore. Quelaag and her sister, the Fair Lady, are half demon and are more than likely suffering from their condition, as told to us by the Fair Lady.
Quelaag, what is it? Quelaag, my dear sister, the eggs, it hurts. They've gone still. I am afraid it may be too late. I am so sorry, dear sister.
Ceaseless Discharge was covered.
Wow. That sucks. That really sucks. He gets there when talking about Seath. Okay. So what I'm getting is you can never do anything good without facing severe consequences. No wonder the dragons look so malnourished. Yeah. I mean, she had every good intention of trying to make it right, but even then, if it's a brand new flame, it's still gonna die out. That sucked, bro. That sucked to listen to. Dang, that sucked.
Lavasaurus from birth, so his life was a living hell from the start. The Flame of Chaos just made it worse. Ceaseless Discharge, just like Priscilla, doesn't actually want to fight us. It's only until we steal this clothing set that he attacks us. This clothing set rests upon a grave that belonged to his sister Quaylana, who he believes died in the explosion, when in fact she was the only one who escaped. Quaylana will appear in Blighttown if the player is sufficient enough in Pyromancy. Quaylana explains that she was the only one who made it out of the reaches of the Flame of Chaos. In fact, she was actually able to harness the power of the Flame of Chaos and create magic, which we know as Pyromancy. Quaylana wants us to fulfill her duty for her, as she does not have the strength to go on. She instructs us that we need to put down her siblings and her mother so that they may rest in peace. This whole family dynamic is horrific, as Ceaseless believes...
Yeah, this is so far the saddest part of the lore, without a doubt. Like, this is easily the saddest part. Like, this is crazy.
Dead, even though Quaylana is alive. And Quaylana is only a few meters from her sister, and yet we can tell her about this. Clearly, this is turning into a very depressing story, but it only gets worse. As we get closer to the final boss of the area, we'll meet with a pyromancer who is assumed to be another daughter of Izalith.
Right.
Though it's unclear why she is so far down in these ruins, yet is completely unharmed. It's possible that she, like Quelana, escaped the flame of chaos, but this daughter came back to finish off the boss right behind her, or has possibly gone insane and is now defending said boss.
Maybe.
And by going down this slide, we will meet this monstrosity who is the bed of chaos. This is the Witch of Izalith.
They really wanted you to feel that pain when making Bed of Chaos. This is the Witch of Izalith? Yeah, my brain is on fire right now. My brain is actually on fire. Bed of Chaos design fucks so hard. Yeah, it just sucks to fight, but wow. It gets worse.
One of the foremost powerful people in the world has been demoted to this deformed tree-like creature. There are also these orbs next to her that we need to destroy in order to damage her, and it's assumed by many that these are her other two daughters that were closest to her when the flame erupted.
Oh, hell nah, bro. Nah, bro. This is crazy. What? I mean, it's speculated. It's speculated, but still, like, what if that is? Like, what if those two orbs are... We're killing her children. We're literally killing her family. Unintentionally. Like, I didn't... And they had every good intention to just make a flame that accommodated humanity. And it destroyed her entire family. What the hell?
We have two daughters stuck to their mother, two daughters who were half afflicted by the flame, a son who is arguably the most affected, and two daughters who managed to survive. One who doesn't have the strength to carry on anymore, and another who sits outside her mother's arena.
Half the lore is speculated, and it fixes a plot hole, so I don't know if it was right to me. No. I'm with it. Like, because at the end of the day, your boy really only knew like nothing, like next to nothing. Oh, you are intentionally killing your daughters. That's why it's called Dark Souls. At the very look, I didn't know why. That's crazy. I don't even want to play this game anymore. I'm kidding. Because this shit is just fucking sad.
By far, the most depressing story I've ever had the misfortune of. The
Wow.
further we push into Lost Izalith, the more of the family we get to meet, allowing us to see the consequences of her actions. We can see the pain that all of them are in, as some of them are just wishing for their siblings back, and others just want to stay alive.
Right.
It's an awful story that all leads to the final fight with Izalith herself, and it is by
Fart
far
Souls got a light in the mood.
the most
I respect it.
anticlimactic
I
and
respect it. I respect it. I respect
It is
it.
agreed upon by many.
That's what makes it worse. Like, once you take out presumably her daughters and you can make it all the way down to the core, it's just one swipe and that's it. It's over. But knowing what I know now, I'm like, this is what happened to you? And you wanted to you just wanted to do what was right. This is insane. This is
Bed
insane.
of Chaos is the worst fight in Dark Souls 1.
Correct. No, not just Dark Souls 1, buddy. Across the board. Across the board. I fought gank fights. I got jumped by 2 bosses, 3 bosses at a time, and this boss is still by far the worst.
Insanely difficult, but it's not the difficulty itself that's the issue, it's why the boss is difficult. I would argue that just within the main game, the 2 hardest bosses are the 4 Kings and Ornstein and Smough. O and S are difficult bosses because there's 2 of them. You have to have both on screen at all times.
I suppose.
Fight.
I
This is
suppose.
balanced by having Ornstein be fast but not as lethal, and
Right.
Smough being slow and hard hitting.
Right.
It's a wonderful dichotomy that makes for a satisfying fight.
Mhm.
4 Kings is a DPS check, as every 30 to 45 seconds a second king will spawn, and this will
Correct.
keep going until 4 on your screen at once. boss. To
Yep.
succeed, you need to kill the current king before this happens. Both boss fights are hard, but have weaknesses you can exploit.
True.
Bed of Chaos has none. To defeat the boss, you need to destroy both orbs on her sides, then go down the middle inside of her so you can find the source of her power. She's actually extremely weak, as both the orbs and her die in one hit. It's getting there that's the issue. Her hand attack is oddly timed, and due to her design, it's unclear where her hitbox ends. After defeating one of the orbs, the floor will start to crumble, so not only do you need to avoid her attacks, but you'll also need to avoid the floor. There's also a strict path you're meant to follow for this fight, which
I'm like low-key getting fucking PTSD from this. Ugh.
will lead you right next to a broken piece in the flooring, so you'll more than likely get hit and fall in and die.
Yep.
The walk back to this boss is also just as atrocious, as you'll more than likely spend more time walking to the boss than actually fighting her. Thankfully, there is no reset involved in this boss, as every single run you've done is carried over to the next, as it essentially has unlimited checkpoints.
Yeah, if it was a reset, I don't think I'd play
played
this game for real.
Kept it in.
I'm
Even
so
if I
serious.
actually enjoyed the fight, the payoff narratively isn't worth the time. We ventured further and further into the depths of Lost Izalith, coming across all of her children who were these hideous beasts that did incredible damage, and she's just a puzzle. The Witch of Izalith has one of the best backstories in the game, as the tale of her children is heartbreaking, and being able to see their conditions face to face does
Damn.
take a lot out of you. But it's completely soured by a boss fight that is mechanically and narratively a letdown. Our third Lord Soul belongs to Grave Lord Nito, and he's
I have a completely different path that makes it impossible for her to hit me. Really? What kind of path?
interesting, to say the least. Nito might have the most detailed boss design, but the most basic story out of all the four lords. If you were to just assume that Nito simply became the Grim Reaper and just administered death, you wouldn't be far off, which is a shame for someone of his importance. Gravelord Nito lives in the Tomb of Giants, which is accessed via the catacombs. Both of these areas share a similar theme of death, as this is where the dead are buried. So we know that he administers death, but what else does he do? Well, not much else. He does have a covenant that you can join, but their goal is just to spread more death across the world. It seems like he doesn't care about what's going on in the world, as the only reason he attacks you is because we're obviously here with malicious intent.
Right.
Nito doesn't have any lore regarding his life during the Age of Fire, and it's just about him administering death. From this, we can infer that
That
Nito
kinda
either doesn't
sucks.
care about the Age of Fire, or maybe even just wants the Age of Darkness to occur. The only other bit of lore surrounding him is a boss named Pinwheel.
This ain't no damn boss, bro. This is a fucking exercise. I love Nito. Just requires a small amount of parkour, but I do the left one, then walk around the edge of the arena to the second one. By the edge of the arena to the second one. I might need to try that next time because I want a consistent strategy. I've never beaten Bed of Chaos on one go. Ever. I've always fallen at least once or twice before I eventually beat Bed of Chaos. So we'll try that. We'll try that. Yeah, let's talk about Pinwheel. What the fuck are you?
Who is a necromancer, presumably made up of 3 people, as referenced by the number of masks on the body, who stole an item from him known as the Rite of Kindling. There are quite a few theories regarding Pinwheel, like the fact that Pinwheel was originally a father, but his wife and child died, so he attempted to resurrect them, but it failed. And some have stated further that he's still trying to figure out how to revive them, as we can see skeletons throughout the room, which could be seen as his test subjects. But other than that, we've pretty much discussed all of Nito.
That's it? I mean, based off of the two, Pinwheel just seems the most interesting because it has the most interpretation. Nito don't give a fuck about none of it. He's like, I'm just a Grim Reaper. I do dark shit. I got a skeleton army. The darkness, the darkness, the darkness, the darkness, the darkness. That's it. That's it. You don't care about the Age of Fire? I'm Bones. It means nothing to me. Like, that's crazy. I like that the darkest character design in Dark Souls, Nito, is just a chill. He seems like just a chill guy, but he ain't hurt nobody. He's just chilling. Or else who's a little weirdo. Nito literally is just a Grim Reaper, and that's it. Simple but effective. What can I say? This man just has a lord, so he's just like, I mean, if you want it, you can try to come get it, bro, but don't diss my boy Nito. Anybody dissing him? He's very simple. There's nothing else to him. He's just, I'm the Grim Reaper. Yep. Why you still standing there for? You want a cookie? Like that's Nito.
Isn't anything else to speak about, which is a real shame.
I like it
His
too.
backstory
It's clear.
has a massive amount of potential, but it just felt unfinished. There are no major themes tied to Nito. He just kind of exists. Our final Lord Soul belongs to.
I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it. He's from the darkness. He's chilling. He ain't bothering nobody. I would have a beer with him. I would too. I mean, not a beer because I don't like beer. You know, maybe like some tequila. You know what I'm saying? Some tequila, some moonshine, some gin. and we just talk about Dark Souls. He's like, yeah, I remember I watched that one run of you, and you were struggling on that Better Chaos. I'm like, Nito, please, come on, chill out. I know you 4 shots in. Chill, bro, chill. Cause I know you're not talking. I killed you immediately with my miracle run. You trolling, bro. You troll. It would just be it would just be a normal conversation. They'll try to figure out if he's good or bad. He's just right there, smack dab in the middle. He just happens to have a Lord Soul. If he didn't have one, it would just, cause y'all remember when on my first run of Dark Souls, when I saw Priscilla, I talked to her and she said, you know, you don't belong here. If you want to leave, just take yourself off the ledge. I left, and that was the end of her for my first run. If Nito was on the same time of like, I have the Lord Soul, you can take it, or you can earn it in combat, and then I'll give you a nice little miracle. I'm just taking the Lord Soul. I'm gonna be like, hey bro, you chill. I'm gonna come back down here. We wanna have some shots. Oh my gosh, to kill with the Grim Reaper, yes sir. Honestly, hot take, unrelated, but do we need an Edge Runner season 2? And see, that's the thing. Am I hype? Yes. Why? Because they did such a great job. I'm always gonna praise Cyberpunk Edge Runners for season 1 because it is easily a 9 out of 10. Like I love it. I love the story. I love how imperfect all of the characters are. How they have all of their flaws. It's great. Do we need a second season? In my opinion, no, we don't. If I would have went my whole life never getting a second season of Cyberpunk Edge Runners, I'm not losing sleep over that. You know, like that would have been fine for me. The Lord Soul is what turned him into the Grim Reaper. It is why he is the embodiment of death and disease. Ooh, so I do need it. I mean, I think I would just be the worst person to be, what's it called? Like the next person to link the flame. Because if it was me in the Dark Souls world and I know what I know now, I'm never leaving the Firelink Shrine. I don't need to leave. I don't. Some of these people are just chill. They ain't hurting nobody. The Witch of Izalith broke my freaking heart. I don't need to leave. I'm chilling. I don't want to hurt Nito. Nito ain't hurt nobody. He ain't hurt nobody. Also, there is an empty grave right next to Nito's grave. I did see that. So some theories go that Nito had a hubby. Oh, really? I ain't doing all that. I'll be the crestfallen soldier chilling. I'm telling you, same that, right? And then there was that other knight, I forget his name, in Dark Souls 2 that just never left Modula. Why am I leaving, bro? Why am I leaving? What do I gain? They wanted me to become the next King Vendrick. Why? So I can walk around in a circle in the darkness too? No. What's gonna happen is that rock that Emerald Herald keeps sitting on, I'm right there with her. And we playing what's that game? Connect 4. That's it. Chibi.
Himself with our 4 lords and attack the dragon.
See? Let me rewind it back.
Themes tied to Nito. He just kind of exists. Our final Lord Soul belongs to Seath the Scaleless.
Crestfallen soldier became hollow due to From's shit, bro.
Remember, allied himself with our 4 lords and attacked the dragons. The reason he did this was because Seath, unlike the other dragons, was not immortal. Only the dragons had impenetrable scales that could not be broken with any.
Said just enjoy the beautiful views, waiting for some fool to go link the. Yeah, y'all got it, gang.
Type of weapon. Seath was not born with these scales, so in a sense he was not immortal. It was only until Gwyn was given their weakness from Seath, which we know is lightning, that Gwyn was able to pierce the dragon's scales and actually kill them. Seath was envious of his brethren as they had what he didn't, so as thanks for working with Gwyn, he was named the Duke and given the Duke's archive.
Oh, you suck! You were jealous? So you betrayed your whole clan? Because they had genuine immortality? Let me wind that back. I want to make sure I got that correctly.
Was because Seath, unlike the other dragons, was not immortal. All the other dragons had impenetrable scales that could not be broken with any type of weapon. Seath was not born with these scales, so in a sense he was not immortal. It was only until Gwyn was.
You bullet sponge ass nigga. You got sold. You what the fuck? This nigga's a dork. You were jealous of your own family. You got them all marked. All marked by letting them know what the weakness was. All because you didn't have what they did. Wow, he's the whole reason why they lost. Because if he didn't have their weakness, they would have won. They would have cleared. That's insane. That's crazy. Wow. Seath, you are trash.
Which we know is lightning. That Gwyn was able to pierce the dragon's scales and actually kill them. Seath was envious of his brethren as they had what he didn't, so as thanks for working with Gwyn, he was named the Duke and given the Duke's archives, as well as some of Gwyn's Lord Soul for power. During the war, Seath found the Primordial Crystal, an item that
Said obviously they didn't have immortality, not invulnerability. Don't worry, Seath is even worse than you realize. It gets worse? How?
gave him temporary immortality. But during this time in the Duke's archives, he eventually went mad with his
Hold on.
experiment. His Lord Soul for power. During the war, Seath found the Primordial Crystal, an item that gave him temporary immortality. But during this time in the Duke's archives, he eventually went mad with his experiments and his research. He is considered the grandfather of sorcery, as well as the creator of these creatures and the Moonlight Butterfly.
Oh, I hate you even more. You made that lame ass boss too? What? Yo, Seath is like, he's garbage. I can't vouch for this clown. Whose car is that? And I don't want to close my window because it's still hot in here.
Seath is that he ends up killing us and throwing us in a prison cell.
Seath is the biggest douche in the whole series, low-key. He's already on my shit list. Him and that what's that dude's name? Lodric? Y'all are on the shit list.
We can see that theme of desperation, as Seath is trying everything he can to get what he wants, but in the process it made him mad. He's not as mindful of his actions as he used to be, and is sort of a shadow of his former self. One thing I find interesting in this prison is the abundance of miracle-related items and clothing that are scattered throughout the prison. It's possible that clerics were deemed suitable subjects for Seath experiments. Maybe this is due to their magical power, or because they were so easy to defeat.
Oh,
We
wow.
need to head to the Crystal Caves, which
No, that makes sense.
going to say was probably the worst level in this game due to half the map being invisible, but the walk to the boss is surprisingly straightforward. Venturing off that path, though,
It's not
is
a big
where the
deal.
problem lies. To defeat Seath, we need to break his primordial crystal so that we can sever his immortality, giving us a chance to kill him. The story of these lords caused a bit of an imbalance throughout my playthrough. You can go through
I don't know if you got that, but he kidnapped innocent maidens and turned them into the squid creatures. Yup. That's why there's so many miracles all over the place. He used them and turned them into them for experiments. So okay, I want to break down bitch-ass Seath the bitchless. Seath the ballless. You betray your own kind because they are immortal by birth, by nature, right? And you're a fraud. You got jealous enough to get them all murked by exposing what their weakness was. When they probably confided in you, you probably had a dragon biddy that was willing to. I mean, you weren't immortal, right? But she was willing to rock out a few hundred years with you, and then you were gonna die off. You probably had a family. You got them all smoked because you're jealous. Then got a crystal to make sure that you were immortal, which I broke in one swing. And you're also doing experiments on maidens and clerics because of X, Y, and Z reasons. This nigga's ass. He's actual ass.
Lost Izalith and the Demon Ruins, which is filled with rich lore, tons of backstory, and compelling bosses that fit with the lore surrounding the Witch of Izalith, but then you go to the Four Kings and just find out that they were lords of New Londo who got tricked by Koth and consumed by the Abyss. It feels jarring going from one to the other, as one feels thorough while the other feels incomplete, like you missed something or there was more that should have been said.
Right.
I don't think every boss needs to have a multi-page Wikipedia article in order for it to be considered a good story. I think that the boss
And I praised Seath too. I thought that thing was so cool. I was like, you look like a mega evolutionary fucking Digimon or some shit. Like I really thought he could have been like if you would have put his bitch ass on the cover of a Pokemon game, Pokemon Crystal. No, they have one. They had that's Suicune. What's another one? Pokemon Diamond. Nope, they got Diamond too. Hold on. Pokemon Scale. You could have. My whole point is he would have fit on that damn cover. I don't want to see this thing anywhere else whatsoever. I'm gonna purposely play Dark Souls 1 offline and make a one-shot build, and I'm just gonna blow his ass up.
story said would
I'm just gonna blow him up. I'm just gonna do it.
But I can't lie to you and tell you that I didn't leave these locations wanting more. I wanted to know more about the Four Kings and how they rose to power, and I wanted to know more about Nito and Seath in general, but I never got that. And I guess, in a way, this could be viewed as a positive, as I didn't walk out of these places not wanting to learn them at all, but rather wanted to learn more.
I think they did a good job establishing Seath, though. Like, there's just nothing redeeming about him. He has a solid backstory, and that's why where he is. That's why he is where he is. Like, he just sucks. And then Nito, I like how simple it is. I personally would have probably liked a little bit more for his character, too, but I'm not mad at them going the simple and linear route. And then crush his Lord Soul. to buy 1 million dung pies? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because that's all he's worth. His soul will never be transposed for anything that I need. No. No, your soul is worth the shit that you decided to feed. Your soul is literally worth the shit that you provided and brought to your family's doorstep. You suck. Your ass. Yeah, I don't know what the narrator's yapping about Seath as well, right? Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. I'm like, how much deeper do you need it to be? Do you need to know that his first name was Clarence B. Howard? Like, I don't like. He's Seath. He betrayed his family and was put in a position of power because he's a traitor. Like, that's what, that's what he is. Sucks. He gives you the Moonlight Greatsword. I don't need it. Don't need it. Don't care. Don't care. Now I'm looking at that weapon crazy. What the fuck did you do to get that, Seath? Nope, not doing it. Pokemon scale, but he is scaleless. Now this is why he is mad, because of the disrespect. He can feel disrespected all he wants to. He disrespected his whole fucking family. Clarence B. Howard, Seath the Scale. Yes. Yes. Yes, that's his first official government name. It's in his tail for some reason. The Moonlight Greatsword is in his... Oh, if you cut it off. Yeah, I don't care. No, I'm gonna make a one-shot pyromancy build. I'm just gonna blow him up. If you're in the Discord and you just see... You know how you can see somebody playing the game, you just see me playing Dark Souls 1, you know what I'm doing. Just don't ask no questions. You know what I'm doing. You know what I'm doing.
That I wanted the game to provide me with more information on it. I wanted to be encapsulated by this story more than I already was.
I think what he really means, I don't think he wants more from Seath. I think he just wants more from maybe like more characters involved in the Duke's archives. It would have been very interesting if we met a few NPCs here, right? Because it's literally just Seath. Now the one maiden lady shows up here too behind a gate, but she goes hollow, and that's it. That's the only NPC that shows up here. Just post a random clip of you one shot. Yeah. You're gonna get a notification. It's gonna be about a 12-second clip of me just casting Chaos Flame Pillars and Chaos Firestorm and blowing him up, because that's what he deserves. Go this big hat Logan. There, that's true. Logan and Sigmire also show up here. Oh yeah. Okay. But I mean, like, not them originally being somewhere and then eventually just showing up here. What I mean is, like, characters that start off here and then you kind of meet them along the way. And like if Duke's Archives was, I guess, in a way bigger, because it's got some size on it too, right? But you can clear the Duke's Archives if you know where you're going in 2 minutes. You know what I'm saying? I feel like it could have been stretched out in terms of story involving more characters. Now, the whole Seath thing, him wanting more from Seath, I'm like, I don't see why you would want more. What else do you need to know? Like, what? If someone told me all of Seath's story, which is what happened here, I'm like, yeah, that's cool. Case closed. You're a bitch ass nigga. Like, it's just that simple. But I think Seath's madness makes it more apparent when his crib is completely empty. True. Yeah. And everything is just solid and rocked. This man is over here busting scales all over the room. The only issue with that is how late in the game it is. That's true. That's actually a fair point. That's probably why they didn't add anything like that.
As with many Souls games, not all answers are explicitly told to us, but there were still a lot of burning questions I had that never got mentioned. With the Lord Souls in the vessel, we are now able to fight Gwyn, but we still have one final location we need to visit, which is the land of Oolacile, accessed via the Artorias of the Abyss DLC.
Hold on. I'm gonna fix me a drink. Give me like 2 seconds. All right. Let's get it. You know why I needed to fix a drink here. This is why. Because this fucking area. There's a reason. I'm gonna grab a beer as well. Yep. Yeah, y'all lock in. It's time. He's gonna love Havel when we get to him. Ooh, is Havel's? I needed Havel to be here. Oh my god. Yeah. So, Oolacile Township. I need the plot. If he doesn't cover so much at least with this area, and there's more that y'all find, like videos specifically catered to the DLC, drop that bitch in the Discord, bro. I want to know. I want to know everything. I want to know about Artorias, the lady that shows up when he dies, Manus, Sif showing up there, which I want to get Sif for that Manus fight. Calamite, everybody. I want to know. I want to know all of it.
The one and only DLC.
Let me bless my drink.
That Dark Souls 1 would have. We start this DLC by defeating this gold golem that has a woman named Dusk captured inside.
Correct.
Dusk was the princess of a place called Ulasil. According to her, it's a place from an age that existed long ago. Hilariously enough, she doesn't actually say anything after this. You would think that the DLC would sort of spin a story that her home is in danger and we
Calamite's lore, he's just cool. Are you for real? I wanted more. Fuck. That's okay. That's okay. That's okay.
need to save her, but she doesn't actually tell us that. She just sells us sorceries. The DLC doesn't officially start though until we return back to her location with an item called the Broken Pendant, which causes us to get sucked into this portal and taken to Ulasil. As Dusk said, Ulasil is a place from long ago, and while you may be confused on how this fits within the geography of Lordran, this place is a lot closer than you think. In fact, we already ran through it to get to the DLC. The Darkroot Garden is Ulasil. This is evident by the tree enemies who have a similar design to these tree-like enemies, and the same plants that are only found in the Darkroot Garden are also found here as well. Ulasil
Wow.
was a city hundreds of years before the Darkroot Garden came to be, so something happened.
I mean, that makes sense because Artorias is here. Wow.
That made this place turn into the garden that we know of. Well, to understand the story of Ulasil, we need to talk to Elizabeth.
But Princess Dusk is here no longer, snatched away by that horrifying primeval human. And so I must ask...
Yep, the DLC is just recycled content. No, stop. That's really fucking cool, though. I always thought it was like its own separate area.
Play the savior. An abyss was begat of the ancient beast, and threatens to swallow the whole of Ulasil. Knight Artorias came to stop this, but such a hero has nary a murmur of dark.
Wow.
Without doubt he will be swallowed by the abyss, overcome by its utter blackness. Indeed, the abyss may be unstoppable. Still, I have faith that Princess Dusk may be rescued yet.
This prime evil human is Manus of the Abyss, the final boss of the DLC, and the thing that's
look, this shit just pissed me off. You're behind him,
is Manus of the
and he turns all the way. You saw the. I'll keep going. I'm gonna stop pausing.
The DLC and the thing that sucked us into Ulasil in the first place. So our job is to hunt Manus down. My main gripe with the DLC is justification, as technically with the Lord Vessel we can just leave, so why do we need to worry about this? It's not an immersion breaking problem, but it is a shame. While traveling to the land of Ulasil, you will come across this.
Hold on, what?
Technically with the Lord Vessel we can just leave, so why do we need to worry about this? It's not an immersion breaking problem, but it is a shame.
You're going back in time to stop the very thing that Artorias himself could not stop. Like, imagine if no one stopped Manus. And imagine if no one does never like. I'm like, what? All I'm hearing is skill issues. That's all I'm hearing. Are you talking about me complaining about Manus, or are you talking about him saying what he said about? Because I'm like, you literally go back in time. This is the Darkroot Garden, aka Ulasil Township, to stop Manus, who was an unstoppable force, the father of the Abyss, so that doesn't happen. Otherwise, he would still be here. I just want to make sure I'm not messing that up. 'Cause I'm like, that's why we go back in the first place.
Traveling to the land of Ulasil, you will come across this Colosseum-like structure, which is where we get to meet our next boss, Artorias of the Abyss. Artorias was one of...
I actually like to think it's not us going back in time. Manus kidnapping us from the future. Really? Lore heads be like that, and I appreciate them for it. Okay. Because I'm just like, what? I gotta remember, no shade to Jingy. This is a great video, but you also wanted more context on Seath and more about his story. And I'm like, how much more do you need to know?
The four Knights of Gwyn.
How
The
much
other
more?
three are Hawkeye Goth, who is sitting at the top of the
Legendary NPC. I think this might be my favorite NPC in all of the Souls games, aside from Sigurd of Katarina and Andre. I think Goth is like right there, because this NPC is only here for 2 seconds and is extremely effective and is the fucking homie. I don't care what nobody says. I don't care.
tower right next
This is
to
the homie right here.
Coliseum. Karen, who appears in the Coliseum after we defeat
Her name's
Artorias,
Karen.
and the final knight is Ornstein. Each of them were skilled in their
Wait, what?
Our next boss, Artorias of the Abyss. Artorias was one of the four Knights of Gwyn. The other three are Hawkeye
Oh, these are Knights of, I missed that. These are Knights of Gwyn. Same goal as my goal. I'm telling you, bro.
Goth, who is sitting at
So
the
Goth-
tower right next to the Coliseum. Karen, who appears in
Karen.
the Coliseum after we defeat Artorias, and the final knight is Ornstein.
Ornstein and Artorias. These were the 4 Knights of Gwyn. That's a tough lineup. We ain't winning. We ain't winning that. That's tough. I must say, I don't agree with everything he says, because there is so much left to interpretation. I agree. I'm like, there's so much room for this story to really like stretch his legs. I'm just not gonna say nothing, because everybody has their own opinion on how they want things to be. But some of the stuff, I'm like, the Manus thing and then the sea thing, I'm like, nah.
Each of
Nah.
them were skilled in their own ways, as Hawkeye used his powerful great bow to shoot down dragons. In fact, he can actually help us shoot down Calamite, who is the last of the ancient dragons. Ornstein also used
It sounds like he tried to pick the most common theorized lore things. Yeah, which I'm not too mad at, because it does, at least for somebody like me that doesn't really know a whole lot about the story, it's a good gateway, right? This makes me invested in wanting to know more about the lore overall, like the smaller details as well. So I'm not too mad at it. Even to hear about the different theories that people have too. I'm not too mad at that. Like, for the most part, he's doing a great job covering the pretenses and the base of the story.
used his spear that was able to cut through the scales of dragons with ease, and we can also see the spoils of his war due to the amount of dragon heads that exist in Anor Londo.
Got you. That's why we're here, to tell you when that motherfucker is lying. Okay.
Artorias is also able to wield his greatsword with incredible finesse, and Karen used her 2 daggers to cut down anyone who opposed Gwyn's rule. But
Karen's daggers are clutch.
all of them,
I'm
minus
stop pausing.
Ornstein, are way past their prime, which is a growing theme amongst the entire series. Goth
Yeah.
was imprisoned in this tower with nothing left to do but to make carvings. He also couldn't use his great bow anymore, as all the dragons had been wiped out, so he has no purpose. Karen may have had a deep love for Artorias, as when we visit her, she is next to a grave she made for him, and asks if we can give her his soul. If we do, she gives us her weapons and continues to sit by the grave, implying that she no longer wants to be a knight anymore. And Artorias came to Ulasil in an attempt to stop the abyss from spreading, but ended up losing and being corrupted himself. His
Damn.
left arm is also dangling, which might suggest that it's broken.
Yeah,
This is because
no,
he
it's
used
broken.
his shield to protect his wolf companion Sif, the same Sif from the main game, although he is much smaller in this DLC. Sif also has a different intro if you do the DLC first, because Ulasil is in the past, so he'll remember you in the present, and it makes killing him that much harder. In regards to Sif, it's possible that he doesn't want us getting the Covenant of the Abyss ring, as that allows us to travel through the abyss to kill the
I think I want to do that for the next time we play Dark Souls 1. I'm not gonna lie. I think I want to do the DLC before we kill Sif, because I want to get that cutscene. I never got that cutscene. It might be harder. Maybe not, though. Nah, I think we'll be fine. I want to do it, though. I want to do that.
And given his owner's condition, Sif probably doesn't want us to end up like Artorias. The Artorias boss fight was actually really entertaining. He was the first boss that felt like the antithesis of this game's combat. Most of the game's pace has been very slow and methodical, but he has these fast attacks and very few openers. I do wish, though, that there was at least an ounce of build up to this fight, as you can literally start the DLC and be at the boss room in about 10 minutes. I think having the player traverse some of the areas
I
that
agree.
are covered in these abyss creatures that grow in number as we get closer to Artorias would have been great, as it's slowly leading us towards this
I actually
person
agree with that.
responsible for all this death. While narratively it felt a bit too fast for me, the fight mechanically was great. After Artorias, we can explore the rest of Ulasil, and we can see how much this land has been affected by the Abyss, as all the inhabitants have been infected by this dark energy, turning them into these disgusting creatures. Eventually, we'll reach the
Fucking arms. It's crazy. I always slime Sif early for the souls. You have got to. I'm slamming Sif early.
bottom, and this feeling of fear starts to set in as the world becomes darker and darker.
Who the hell only took 10 minutes to get to Artorias? Me? I think Sanctuary Guardian took like 2 or 3 tries for me, and then I was right there. Literally only took like 10-15 minutes. He's right there. I mean, on your first try. My first time doing the DLC, Sanctuary Guardian only took a little bit of time. And then Artorias, I had got the shortcut. I passed Calamite, then got the shortcut. So maybe not 10 minutes, but it was like within like 30. It was not long at all. I was shocked. I was like, oh, we're already here? God, I suck at this game. You don't suck at the game, but this is like, he's right there. I spent 2 hours getting to him. Was it Sanctuary Guardian that got you stumped?
This is where the darkness reaches its peak, and it's where these dark sprites of humanity live. These are very similar in design to the actual humanity we consume in-game. This seems to be humanity in a more...
It was my first... Oh, yeah, that's fine then. That's fine. If it's your first time, that's okay. I mean, prior to this, I've already played DS3, Liza P, Elden Ring, so it was a little bit of a learning curve in the beginning, but once I got it, I was on place.
Or physical form, one that is more exposed and not constricted by the dark sign. At the foot of the chasm is our final boss, Manus, the Father of the Abyss. Manus has an interesting story. Apparently, the people of Ulasil were tricked by a serpent, who was probably Koth, into digging Manus' grave up. In doing so, it caused Manus to go wild and unleash his wrath upon them. According to his soul, Manus was once a human, but became Father of the Abyss when his humanity went wild, and now he eternally seeks his broken pendant. The same pendant we had to find to start the DLC.
That's why he grabbed us, because we had it. That's why he grabbed us. Because we literally had the broken pendant, the very thing he wanted. I think it's funny how Artorias is just down the street with no build-up unlike any other main boss. Yeah. So when I got to Artorias, I was like, wow, amazing build-up. I mean, it was kind of not a whole lot of build-up for me personally, because I didn't even know who he was. Like, I've seen him, but I had no actual context as to who the hell he was, right? And then you get there, and he is aggressive as hell, and he's very tough. So they said a serpent manipulated the town of Ulasil to dig up this dude's grave. He got up and went fucking crazy. That is, wow. People speculate, and so do I, that Manus was the furtive pygmy that found the Dark Soul. Maybe, because he was human. He was human. It might have actually been him. Some motherfucker with the sword. The OG lore heads were going crazy when he showed up in the DLC. Jesus, man. What were they saying?
It's unclear why he liked this pendant so much, but it was possibly nostalgic to him, or was given to him by someone he loved, and because this pendant was so important to him, he did everything he could to get it back, which inevitably drove him to insanity. It seems that he got so desperate to find the pendant that he pulled in random people into this world, as the NPC Marvelous Chester is clearly not from this world, and he even says so himself.
I said the same thing. I was like, why does he look vastly different from everybody here? He looks like he's from Bloodborne. I literally said the same thing. I was like, who the hell is this swagged out clown? Who is this dude? This man was pulled from a whole different world to find this pendant. The pendant was just a picture of...
He also kind of looks like the hunters from Bloodborne, which is a nice reference to the game. The main question many within the community have, though, is who was Manus before he became his current deformed state? Well, we really don't know. Many have said it's the furtive pygmy, and I like that idea, but I think it's less interesting than that. Many of the spells in this DLC...
He just comboed I'm glad he put the move counter in the bottom right, because I'm like, this is his second time. There's no way.
...that they were created by an Ulisilian sorcerer on the brink of madness.
Hold on. I gotta get the back.
Before he became his current deformed state. Well, we really don't know. Many have said it's the furtive pygmy, and I like that idea, but I think it's less interesting than that. Many of the spells in this DLC say that they were created by an Ulisilian sorcerer on the brink of madness. I can't help but think that this is perfect for Manus' description.
Correct.
One thing that is interesting is that in the middle of the arena is a grave with a humanity-shaped hole, so maybe Manus was one of these humanity sprites when he died, or that this is what he turned into when he died. Regardless, it's a very interesting detail. I also couldn't get any footage of this, as she disappears when you leave the boss room, but Dusk apparently appears out of Manus when we kill him, meaning that he kidnapped her. This may confuse some people, as Dusk has been sort of all over the place in this game, and due to her going from the past to the present, it sort of screws with the time a bit. It seems like she was sent into our time somehow and was captured by this golem. She then disappears and goes back into her time, which then leads to the Abyss incident with the people of Ulasil. Artorias is then called to defeat the Abyss, but fails, and then we get summoned into this world via Manus' hand, then save Dusk and go back to the present. It's still a little confusing, and the world of Dark Souls is also very confusing when it comes to time, as always during this fading of the fire, time is very convoluted because we can summon people as phantoms and the time sort of stops. It's very confusing, but that's how I think it went down. But with Manus dead, we have officially finished the DLC. However, this won't be the last time we'll hear of Manus, but that's for Dark Souls 2. Artorias of the Abyss was a great DLC. While it does lack in motivation in regards to the player, the actual story of the DLC was great. It provides us with a nice timeline of events, as well as more insight into the Abyss and its effects on the world, and while not known at the time, it would eventually set up the plot to Dark Souls 2. It is without a doubt a worthy extension to the game's story. But now we can finally go to the kiln of the first floor.
Why did he not talk about Calamite? I was waiting for it too. He'd even mention Golf shooting that big bird down. Where the hell? Where the hell is Calamite? Is most likely Seath that kidnapped Dusk. Really? Since he controls the golems that prisons Dusk. No, you're not wrong. You're actually not. You're actually not wrong with that. But why does one of the golems have his pendant? Just randomly. Why does one of the golems randomly have his pendant?
And determine the fate of Lordran. The kiln is coated in ash, and we can see the spirits of those who followed Gwyn into the kiln walk around aimlessly. As we approach the first flame, we have one person in our way, and that is the Lord of Sunlight himself. Earlier, as we approach the...
I just want to stop and appreciate this guy for actually going the route of saving my boy Knight Solaire. That's all I want to say. Because Solaire... Chef's kiss. WNPC.
First flame, we have one person in our way, and that is the Lord of Sunlight himself. Earlier I said Gwyn sacrificed himself to rekindle the flame, and he did. But because of his Lord Soul's power, he was able to keep his body, but his mind was gone. Gwyn has gone hollow. And while I'm more than capable of killing him myself, I couldn't dare start the fight without the guy who's been by my side since the very beginning. Solaire of Astora is easily the most well-known NPC in the entire Souls franchise, and his story is a perfect representation of the mood this game is trying to convey.
Yeah.
Throughout the whole game, we've been meeting with NPCs of all kinds. So
he said, I always let Solaire go crazy. That guy sucks. Wash your mouth. I was on my Pyromancy run. I saved my boy, and we went crazy. That's all I'm going to say. When we killed Gwyn only lasted for a few seconds. We went fucking nuts. We went nuts. He does not suck. Okay? He doesn't suck. He's great. He's a great guy. And he'll always be there for you if you're there for him. That's the homie.
With goals and others without. But none of them have managed to touch my heart in a way that Solaire and Siegmeyer did. Both of them had a goal in mind. One wants to find his sunlight, and the other wants to explore the world. But both are stuck.
Yep.
Siegmeyer always seems to be getting himself caught in some situation, whether that be a...
How do offended Souls players say Solaire sucks? Yeah. Yeah, that'll do it. Yeah.
locked gate he can't enter or a poison swamp he can't cross, and Solaire can't find his sunlight. They both willingly became undead in order to achieve their goals, and it tore me apart to hear that Siegmeyer couldn't see it through. Siegmeyer prides himself on being a knight of Katarina, and that he can handle all of his troubles on his own, but with my help I showed him that he wasn't a worthy knight after all, and that he always needed someone to rescue him. More
Wow.
in these games, your assistance will lead to their death, so it's either converse with them and enjoy their company, knowing that they will die because of you, or distance yourself from them, knowing that while it hurts, it's better that they get to live another day. NPCs of these games will usually end up achieving a terrible fate, but this sadness makes the few times a happy outcome occurs all the better. Solaire wasn't able to find sunlight of his own. He became depressed and wondered if this journey was really worth taking, conveying the tone of the entire game. Is our journey and our struggle really worth it in the end? Which is why I owed it to him to make it right. It may not be the actual sun, but the first flame could be considered the sun, so for one final time I summoned Solaire, and we took down Lord Gwyn.
Fuck Gwyn up, bro. Fuck him up. Fuck him up. I think I'll put some extra lore videos in the playlist. Oh yeah, as many as you want. Go crazy. Go crazy. Drop lore videos in the lore channel, and then if you can, add them to the playlist. You know what I'm saying? I'm with it. I don't mind. This man didn't mention Calamite at all. I am shocked. Not one bit. Calamite's just a dragon.
Gwyn's theme has such a fitting tune. All these bosses have these intense sounds with loud music, but Gwyn's is such a simple piano. It's not intense, it's almost sad in a way, that the most powerful man in the world has been reduced to nothing, and what was supposed to be a glorious fight between two warriors really isn't. It makes it all the more worse when you realize that Gwyn can be parried, and once you nail this timing down, this fight is a cakewalk, further showing how far from grace he has truly fallen. With Gwyn defeated, we can now choose our ending, but we aren't the only one who's able to choose. Since we managed to bring Solaire all the way to the end of the game, he was able to also fight Gwyn in his own world thanks to the convoluted timelines of Dark Souls. And it is canonized that he succeeded and linked the flame in his own world. He became the sunlight he was searching for, and that might be one of the greatest endings in the entire franchise.
What? For real? I don't agree with this. I think he is the worm in DS3. You still say he's the worm.
We can now choose our ending, but we aren't the only one who's able to choose. Since we managed to bring Solaire all the way to the end of the game, he was able to also fight Gwyn in his own world thanks to the convoluted timelines of Dark Souls. And it is canonized that he succeeded and linked the flame in his own world. He became the sunlight he was searching for.
Where does that worm theory stem
And
from?
that might be one of the greatest endings in the entire franchise. But while Solaire linked the flame, that doesn't mean we have to. If we choose the Age of Fire, the world continues. We rekindle the flame and use ourselves as kindling to continue this Age of Fire. If we instead choose to leave, we let the flame extinguish itself. We join the primordial serpents, including Koth and probably Frampt, and usher in an Age of Dark. One where humanity is at the top and we ourselves are the ruler. At least that's what we think will happen. Like many plots in the Soul series, this is once again left up to interpretation. We only get to see the very beginning of our choice, so anything after is just pure speculation.
I think I'm gonna choose the dark ending and literally Dark Souls 1 and 2 all the time. I don't think I need to. I'm not trying to keep this world going. Like, even with the little bit that I knew, I already told myself, I was like, with them having demons and snakes and slug creatures and 16-legged freaks and niggas with two heads walking around and fucking Seath the Bitchless, like, I think this world's gotta die. Miyazaki said most people get the end where he dies, and it is the canon ending. Interesting.
Knows what will happen after, and who knows if our choice was really the correct one. That's always been up to the player to decide, but I've always felt that these endings are about comfort. Do we stay comfortable knowing that in the Age of Fire we aren't on top and might be mistreated due to our lack of strength, or do we take the risk and see what the Age of Dark is about? One thing to note though is the circumstances regarding these endings. Fram says that the undead curse will be cured if we go with the Age of Fire, and not even Koth says anything about this when we talk with him about it. So does that mean that we'll stay undead, or at least still have the risk of going hollow in the Age of Dark? Furthermore, the Age of Fire was a time ruled by the gods, and they did what they could to keep it that way, but we killed them. Everyone in Anor Londo that is a god is either dead or gone. Gwendolyn is the only one that canonically lives thanks to Dark Souls 3. So even though an Age of Fire can be seen as the Age of Gods, that might not be true anymore, as we took care of most of them. So there is positives and negatives both ways, and that's really been the point. There's never going to be a clear answer. It's just whatever you think is right. As for me, I think an Age of Dark is the proper way to go. As we said in the intro, the world of Dark Souls is like a set of operations. Things come and things go. And the Age of Dark should have followed after the Age of Fire, but due to Gwyn breaking the rules of the world, that didn't happen. So I think in an attempt to set things back on track before further destruction, an Age of Dark is the way to go. Regardless of what happens in this Age of Dark, at the very least things will transition back to the way it was supposed to be. However, that might not be the actual ending. Given the future titles, some have debated on proper endings, and given the status of Dark Souls 3, linking the flame, I think, is the real ending, and is definitely the most agreed upon, as just about every person in this game will speak about linking the flame. We only hear about the Age of Dark from Koth, who we have to jump through several hoops to just even meet. I can almost guarantee someone has gone throughout the entire game and didn't even know that an Age of Dark was the real option because of how hidden it is.
I knew the Age of Dark was a thing, and I found it by accident. But because I just walked out. I was like, well, maybe I don't want to link the bonfire right now. And just walked to the left and ended the game. But But I did not know that you meet Koth here. I had no idea he was even here.
And while it's not my preferred ending, continuing the Age of Fire would set in motion numerous events for us to discover. Dark Souls 1 was a fantastic experience from start to finish, and while the road was a little bumpy sometimes along the way, its story wrapped up wonderfully. It's a game that I
This makes me
recommend you
appreciate the
playing
game a
at
lot
least once
more.
in your lifetime, as you will
Like,
never
this
get to
was
experience
good.
something like
This was
ever
good.
again. But we're just getting started. Dark Souls 2 is a brilliant game.
Oh, lordy, here we fucking go. Here we go. He didn't even talk about Havel. Yeah, I was waiting for it too. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, where is you know? Where is Havel? Where is we might need to do a video on like the NPCs of Dark Souls 1. Cause I wanted to I mean he touched on a little bit of them, like the Four Knights of Gwyn, right? Segmire, Solier. But I kind of wanted to know about, like, you know, like where's I'm definitely putting Havel on that. Yes, please do. Put Havel on that damn playlist as soon as possible. Please fucking do, because I want to know. Here we go. It is time for Dark Souls 2. Jesus, this part is fat. Y'all lock in.
It takes into account the Age of Fire and the Age of Dark, and asks the question, why are there only two options? It then continues this idea by shutting out both ages by making something else the main plot of the story. Something that I will explain.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie. Give me 1 second. I need to find a volume booster add-on for Google Chrome, because I can't... He needs to talk up. I need to hear something. Can't hear a damn thing. Yep, I found one. I gotta reload the page. 4610. Okay. Give me 1 second. Hold on. I found it. Yeah. That's so much better. Found it. Found it. Boom. Boom. Alright. Let's do it.
A brilliant game. It takes into account the Age of Fire and the Age of Dark, and asks the question, why are there only two options? It then continues this idea by shutting out both ages by making something else the main plot of the story. Something that I will explain throughout this video. So without further ado, let's get started. So before we start talking about the story, we need to address the game as a whole. Dark Souls 2 requires a different mindset in order to grasp what the game is trying to tell you.
Correct.
As we saw in Dark Souls 1, the game relied heavily on the cycles of the world to be the main plot. It's all about the Age of Fire and the Age of Dark, and what these cycles mean, how they impact the world, and what age we'll choose when we get to the end. This means it also relies heavily on the world itself. Dark Souls 1 was about our four lords, how they rose to power and what they did with that power, and what the state of the world is because of said power. As such, we play a very insignificant person in regards to the overall world, but Dark Souls 2 isn't like that. It's not about the Age of Fire and the fate of the world. It's about one kingdom and how this one kingdom handled its own cycle.
That's true.
Lordran was important as it was the first kingdom in the Age of Fire, but Drang Lake isn't important at all. It's just one of the hundreds of kingdoms built on the same land, and that's what makes Dark Souls 2 so special. It's the insignificance of this game that makes it so compelling, because it isn't tied down by the world's pantheon. It uses what Dark...
That is the one thing I will compliment Dark Souls 2 on. It's the fact that there are several notions in the dialogue that mentions that the world that you're in and the game that you're playing through is a nightmare or insignificant to a degree. And that was the overall theme, or I guess I should say setting. And it makes Dark Souls 2 feel a lot more smaller and grounded, but it works. Because it's still within the same world of what was established prior, but it makes it feel a lot smaller and a lot more grounded. I like it. I like it.
And created as a way to write its own story. This game isn't about the cycles, it's about one small part of the cycles, the Undead Curse. And the quicker you realize that Dark Souls 2 is reshaping the proverbial mold that is Dark Souls 1, the better this game gets. But to explain why, we need to start playing. Our opening cinematic shows our character collapsing in a rainy forest. The narrator talks about the Undead Curse and how it will infect your mind, how it has the ability to remove all that you hold dear and all that you remember. With every minute, the curse gets worse and worse, until you go hollow, as that is the fate for all undead. But this narrator speaks of a kingdom called Drang Lake, and how we'll walk towards its gate without ever knowing why. We know why we're here in Drang Lake, as our character is trying to find a cure for the Undead Curse, so they no longer feel its effects. but they're unsure of why Drangleic specifically. Just as the mind gravitates towards the smell of food when hungry, the mind of the undead is drawn to souls, and Drangleic has plenty of them. To get to Drangleic, we must cross a lake and enter a portal. The scene tries to portray this event as some marvelous spectacle, but that couldn't be farther from the truth. Once we cross this gate, we're never coming back. We'll either be trapped here until we cure the curse or go hollow. The gate is even surrounded by bright bugs, which are known to comfort the dead, almost like it's luring us to our deaths. So for one final time, we gather our thoughts and jump. On the other side of this portal is the things.
I said, alright, I put it in a video from Hawkshaw about Havel. It's just a heads up. A lot of what he says is theorized, but I give it a pass because it's a sick theory. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Because there's still, like, even with what he explained in Dark Souls 1, there still is a lot of things that's up for speculation. So I'm not mad at that.
There's a connection between Drangleic and the outside world. Like I said, we're stuck here for good. Inside this limbo is a house of women, 3 of whom are firekeepers that are being cared for by their housekeeper, and they're very honest about our arrival.
You're finished. You'll go hollow.
It's like, damn, lady. I just got here.
You'll become one of them.
And you lied.
Hollows prey upon men.
Nope, I killed them all.
Feast upon their souls. This is the fate of the cursed.
We aren't the first undead to walk through their doors, and we won't be the last, and all of them have met the same fate, so what makes us any different? Dark Souls 2 tries to set in this feeling of hopelessness, something that's very consistent throughout the trilogy. No one truly believes we can accomplish our goal, but that's what makes the Emerald Herald so wonderful. She believes that we can succeed in our goal and will help us in any way that she can, and by providing us the means to level up, she might be the most helpful person in the game. This is why the level up ladies of the franchise have always been seen in such a positive light. They don't discriminate, and they don't bother questioning if what we're doing is working.
They don't care.
They have an
Well, they don't care, but it's just
succeed, regardless of if there's something.
Whatever you choose is what you
They're like
choose.
a bright light in a dark tunnel, as all around them are people who have given up.
I am Solden,
Hmm.
and like you, I lost everything, and now I'm here.
The location they both reside in is Majula, a small town on the outskirts of Drangleic, and its theme music displays a feeling of peace, a place that is void of death, a place that you can feel comfortable in, and in the world of Dark Souls, a place like that is more than necessary. I've always preferred when the main hubs were seamlessly integrated into the world, something that would be eventually lost with the series going forward, as it makes the world more believable, and in the case of Majula, without it you'd be missing this beautiful scenery.
Yeah. That's the one thing that I actually don't like about Dark Souls 3, despite it being my favorite out of the 3. You do feel a little disconnected. You can't just walk back to the Firelink Shrine. You have to warp back because it is so... Everything else for the most part is linked because it's on a linear track, but the Firelink Shrine specifically is almost in its own bubble, away from everything else.
Seek those whose names are unutterable. The 4 endowed with immense souls.
These 4 beings are known as the 4 Great Ones: the Lost Sinner, the Old Iron King, the Rotten, and the Duke's Dear Freya. Just like before, we have 4 beings that need to be slain in order to continue, and just like Dark Souls 1, how we go about killing them and in what order we want to go in is entirely up to us. But one thing to point out though is that the Emerald Herald isn't a firekeeper, at least she wasn't originally. Her real name is Shanalot, and she was given this name by the dragon.
Shanna.
Her purpose was to break the undead curse, but seeing as there is thousands of hollows in Drangleic, she clearly failed. Her goal now is to just rest at Majula, guiding the undead on their journey to succeed King Vendrick. Before we go though, I want to talk about the NPCs. I think Dark Souls 2 really dropped the ball when it came to these characters. Many of them are extremely forgettable and seem to only be placed in the world so that the player can be given a tangible item rather than an engaging story. Benhart of Jugo is a good example, as he seems like a compelling character that may have a memorable quest, all for it to crumble almost immediately. His whole questline revolves around his family heirloom, the giant teal sword resting on his shoulder, which you may recognize as the Moonlight Greatsword, except this one is a fake. It doesn't have the magical properties of the original, but Benhart believes that with enough strength he can unlock its true power. I would have dropped this quest entirely if it wasn't for the fact that he gives us the sword at the end of it. He provides little to no substance to the world, and this goes for a vast majority of characters we meet. There are over 40 NPCs in this game, and about 90% of them provide the player with a service, and some of their services are either outclassed or completely useless. Lenigrast is the Majula blacksmith, but the player may find Macduff, another blacksmith, except Macduff can do everything Lenigrast can do, but with the added bonus of being able to to infuse weapons, and Gevlan is a lonely merchant who only sells 5 items, 4 of which are poison. He also has 3 set locations, so in order to purchase his services, you'll need to go out of your way to find him, and that's if you really want poison equipment. There's just so much clutter, as half these characters could literally just combine into one general goods merchant. Thankfully, it's not all bad. Lucatiel has a wonderful questline as she shows us the horrific reality that is the undead curse. She was a warrior of Mira, but now she barely
Yo,
remembers.
this narrative is full of shit. I actually like Benhart, despite it being a very limited time with him. I actually like him. Him, Vingaro, and Lucatiel are the 3 standouts for me, but he does have a point where a lot of the NPCs that you do meet are kind of out of the way and don't do a lot for you. I did meet quite a few of them on my first run, and I only really progressed Lucatiel's questline. Benhart, I didn't want to look it up. I just found him kind of casually, and then we fought with him and Vingaro at the end. But you know, look, it's a matter of opinion. Some people might actually love all the NPCs of Dark Souls 2. You have some people like him that are like, nah, they are a little limited. That's fair. That's fair.
By the time we get to the end of her quest line, she's practically pleading for us to remember her name, as she may not remember it herself. It's unclear why she came to Drang Lake in the first place, but given that her brother Aslatiel will invade us.
Yeah, I don't mind the chillness. I even said in my review, I was like, I actually like the idea of some of the NPCs, like the reward is just learning about them. Them adding a little bit more depth to the world, to the story, learning a little bit about the land of Mira. You know what I'm saying? I like that. I don't always need a special god tier SSS plus weapon or spell or anything like that. I don't need that. That's not
only a few feet
it's
from
whatever
her
fine.
final location. It's possible that she was looking for him, but now both of them have succumbed to the curse's affliction, never truly knowing what happened to the other. Thankfully, Lucatiel isn't the only character of note in this game, as the feud between Creighton and Pate and the peaceful conversations with Vengaro
I forgot
were
about those
fantastic. Being able to take the role of a detective and truly uncover which one is telling the truth, and then choosing a side before one prevails, was a great investigation. And the fact that a talking head can get me to listen to his life story as he thinks about his past life and how much he despises it, shows me that this game has some wonderful stories that are just waiting to be uncovered. You just have to weed through the dozens of merchants in order to find them. Getting back on track, we're still on the hunt for the 4 Great Ones. Once again, this is similar to Dark Souls 1, but instead of ringing the bells of awakening and then finding the Lord Souls, we just have to find the souls already. If you remember from that video on Dark Souls 1, I said that the Bells of Awakening section was a bit slow, as not much in terms of plot was happening. It wasn't until we rang them that the story really started to take off. Well, in Dark Souls 2, it's the same unless you look at the bigger picture. Before we get to the 4 Great Ones, there are a lot of other areas we need to go through first. For example, to get to the Lost Sinner, we need to go through Majula, to Hade's Tower of Flame, to No Man's Wharf, through the Lost Bastille, and then to Sinner's Rise where the boss is located. All of these locations will seem pointless, and if you just only do this boss fight, it will continue to feel like that. It isn't until later in the game, when the climax hits, that things start to make sense. No Man's Wharf is a small port town, and its final boss is the Flexile Sentry. The Sentry's job was to take as many undead as they could fit on this boat and send them to the Lost Bastille, which is a prison for the undead. But this isn't the only location to have lore regarding the curse. The Huntsman.
They're out in insecurity. I don't think so. I just don't think so.
Huntsman's Copse was a hunting ground for the Old Iron King's men, who were tasked with killing any undead on sight. But as you would expect, they too also succumbed to the curse. Next to this area is the Undead Purgatory, where a chariot rider continually kills and punishes the undead. It's also possible that these necromancers were purposely stationed here. This may imply that the necromancers were used to resurrect the undead so that they can be repeatedly killed for entertainment. Like I said, this game does not focus on the cycles of the world, it's all about the curse, and this is only discovered once we get further in the game, but in the beginning it may seem a bit overplayed. That's why it's required to have a different mindset going into this game. If you're thinking about the cycles, then this game's lore will be boring and repetitive, but it's actually brilliant once everything comes together.
Yeah, that's what I'm gathering. It's focusing a lot on the undead curse.
Rulers are reacting to the curse and what their actions are as a result of it. And speaking of rulers, one of them happens to be one of the 4 Great Ones. The Old Iron King resides in the Iron Keep, but to get there we must pass through the Huntsman Copse, which we know is the place the Old Iron King sent his men to hunt the undead. Behind this location is Harvest Valley and Earthen Peak, 2 areas that are coated in poison thanks to one individual, Mytha, the Baneful Queen. Mytha's story is rather tragic. She wasn't originally like this monster we see today. She was a beautiful queen, but her drive to win her beloved's heart back is what drove her to such lengths. Mytha's story, though, does have some complications. She is named both queen and princess in that she loved a prince and sought the king's affection. Her story is very confusing because we don't really understand whether she was a queen and a princess or just one of them, but whoever this person was, it's clear they did not love her, and thus she began using poison as a way to obtain beauty. But this came with its own set of problems, as the poison started turning her into a snake-like monster. And
Where in your right mind? Where in your right mind do you think, you know what? I don't feel beautiful. I don't feel cute. I don't feel gorgeous. I think poison is the way. You could have used I mean, she might be a snake lady. You know what I'm saying? But I see the beauty. I see the vision. But what I'm saying is, it's like, you could have used so many different things. Poison? You pretty sure around this time they would have had a variety of different cosmetic things you probably could have used before poison.
Sulking around her room day in and day out, trying to win the heart of a man, she unknowingly already succeeded in doing just that. The covetous demon was a human who loved Mytha and cherished her no matter what form she took. He tried to showcase his love for her through gluttony, but this too would change him and turn him into the monster we see today. But
how do you show love for somebody through gluttony? Okay.
Despite his change in appearance, his love for the queen never wavered. Behind the poisonous swamp of Earthen Peak is the Iron Keep.
Here we go.
The Old Iron King. The Old Iron King was a lord of very little power, but he would then eventually meet a knight called Sir Elon who trained his soldiers in the art of battle. The Old Iron King would then eventually build his kingdom, but doing so cost him almost all his assets. But one day he discovered an iron-producing miracle. This allowed him to control iron to his heart's content, which led to the Iron Keep, a giant fortress made entirely of iron. He started creating soldiers made entirely of iron, and even a demon of fire called the Smelter Demon. This idea of creating things of free will with only raw materials is also related to the Undead Chariot, which of course was his creation, so he's quite familiar with this craft. Eventually, for whatever reason, Sir Elon would leave the Iron Keep and set out in search of unknown lands. After losing his most trusted knight, the Iron King sought the counsel of a man named Aegil. He was presumably a pyromancer due to his goal of trying to give fire a will of its own. The two worked together to create the aforementioned Smelter Demon, but this would bring disastrous consequences to the keep. The two never considered that by giving something free will, it has the chance to turn on its creator, and the Smelter Demon did just that. With one swing, it obliterated the Iron King and sent him into the lava it was born from. This act
What?
Eventually, for whatever reason, Sir Elon would leave the Iron Keep and set out in search of unknown lands. After losing his most trusted knight, the Iron King sought the counsel of a man named Aegil. He was presumably a pyromancer due to his goal of trying to give fire a will of its own. The two worked together to create the aforementioned Smelter Demon, but this would bring disastrous consequences to the keep. The two never considered that by giving something free will, it has the chance to turn on its creator, and the Smelter Demon did just that. With one swing, it obliterated the Iron King and sent him into the lava it was born from. This act also caused the lava to take on a much larger form and crash into the Iron Keep, consuming it in lava as we see now. But while the keep and its soldiers were scrambling to higher ground, something else happened. The Iron King's body came in contact with an old soul, the Old King's soul. To those in the present day, he's known as the One Who Shall Not Be Named. But for us, we know him as Gwyn. Gwyn killed
Are they saying that this is Sir Elon?
the Old Iron King will drop the Iron King's soul, but it's only on New Game Plus that we uncover the truth, that the Old Iron King has come to possess the very soul that Gwyn possessed all those years ago. But the Old Iron King isn't the only one. Each of our 4 Great Ones has come in contact with a soul that belonged to a notable character from the past game. But not only did it give them strength, it may have also carried with it the emotions of those it belonged to. Both Gwyn and the Old Iron King share a theme of power. Gwyn wanted to keep his godlike power, and as such took multiple steps in order to achieve that, like linking the First Flame, branding humanity with the Dark Sign, and tossing things he felt could threaten their rule into the painted world of Ariamis. And while his feelings weren't as fierce as Gwyn's, the Old Iron King also desired power. He wanted to ensure a protected and impenetrable kingdom, while also relishing in the power that comes with being a king. So he used his power to create a giant kingdom with skilled knights and dozens of monstrous creatures made from iron, and then displayed his power by tormenting the undead for sport and torturing them endlessly simply because he could. But while the Iron King tortured undead against their will, there was one person whose torture was self-imposed. Located in the Sinner's Rise, underneath the Lost Bastille, is a prisoner who willingly imprisoned themselves for the sins of their past. According to Shalaquar, Majula's resident feline, her sin was that she tried to light the first flame. But the key word is... There was one person whose torture was self-imposed. Located in the Sinner's Rise, underneath the Lost Bastille, is a prisoner who willingly imprisoned themselves for the sins of their past.
This is why I love DS2 lore. It's a clever way of saying the world is recycling everything over and over again. That's what's crazy. The lands are the same. The foundation's the same. It's a brand new city. It's a brand new world in a way. But the same things are still happening.
According to Shalaquar, Majula's resident feline, her sin was that she tried to light the first flame. But the key word is light, implying that it had already gone out. So how would this be considered a sin? If anything, it would be the opposite. Sadly, we never truly know what any of it means. One thing we do know is whose soul she possesses. Before the boss fight,
I knew it. I knew it because that's why I went back. I was like, that is the bed of chaos. The Witch of Izalith. Wow.
starts, a bug crawls into her eye, specifically a chaos bug, the same one from Lost Izalith. She is in possession of the Witch of Izalith's soul. We know that these bugs have mind-controlling capabilities, as evidenced by the bad ending of Solaire's questline, so it's possible that the Lost Sinner intended to let us into her cell until the chaos bug felt threatened, but that still doesn't answer the question regarding her self-imprisonment. Maybe she wanted to keep the chaos bug and in turn her from escaping, as this crazed version of the Lost Sinner could have run rampant and slaughtered dozens of people. Or maybe she's somehow feeling the emotions of Izalith, who probably felt immense guilt for creating the bed of chaos, so maybe this feeling of guilt is being transferred.
This is crazy, bro. This is actually making me like the game way more. I'm not even gonna lie. This is actually making me like Dark Souls 2 way more. I already give it a 7.5. It might go to an 8.
The Witch of Izalith had a desire to create life, which is why she wanted to make a new first flame.
Correct.
She wasn't the only one who had desires, but that being's legacy may have created even more devastation than intended. The Duke's dear Freya is a spider who is in possession of Seath's soul, but Seath's feelings and desires are able to engulf those who come in contact with it. Freya's soul talks about a writhing ruin, and how this ancient thing casts a shadow over the land, and that at some point in its life it came in contact with a solitary insect, but grew its power feasting on the wealth of twisted souls found within the land. If we defeat Freya, we can enter the Lord's private chambers, which houses the Duke of Seldora himself, and a cage that presumably belonged to Freya. The writhing ruin was created from Seath's intense feeling of want. He searched endlessly for a way to be immortal, even when he was plagued by insanity, and it's because of how powerful his desires were that they seemed to linger on past his death. The writhing ruin would go on to possess others in an attempt to obtain something, as he possessed a being that turned Man-Scorpion Tark and his wife into half-human creatures.
I gotta get that again.
That they seem to linger on past his death. The writhing ruin would go on to possess others in an attempt to obtain something, as he possessed a being that turned Man-Scorpion Tark and his wife into half-human creatures. It has this insatiable urge to achieve something. What that something is will depend on the individual. Seath wanted immortality, and Freya may have just wanted strength or power. Regardless, this writhing ruin will presumably seek something until it doesn't for eternity and ruin many lives in the process. It's obvious by now that there seems to be a parallel between our old cast and our new ones in regards to their feelings and emotions. Whether they received these similar feelings when they came in contact with the old souls, or the souls were attracted to them because of their feelings, is unknown, but our old friends' legacies continue to bring disaster even after their death. But for one of them, that may not be the case. Our final great one is the Rotten. In Majula, there is a giant pit, and assuming you can get down there without dying, you'll arrive at the Grave of Saints, a catacomb that used to be a burial site before it was overrun by rats. I was admittedly a bit confused running through here, as I thought this was some ongoing joke I wasn't aware of, as there's a literal rat talking to me, calling me his servant in the most serious
I talked to him for
possible.
literally 1 second. I talked to this rat for 1 second and left. I was like, I'm not here for the fuck shit. You're pissing me off.
Best if we ignore it and moved on, but sadly we won't be doing much moving as much as we will be falling. Dark Souls 2 somehow managed to surpass Blighttown in quality by making the gutter a darker version of Blighttown, all while being poisoned thanks to these statues. Just like Blighttown, the lore is quite similar, as these are the citizens of various kingdoms that were tossed away out of sight from the rest of the world. After the gutter is the Black Gulch, the home of the Rotten. The Rotten possesses the soul of Nito, but instead of their emotions being similar, it seems to just be their appearance. Nito was an amalgamation of skeletons, and the Rotten is an amalgamation of dead bodies. But whereas Nito was hellbent on administering death throughout the world, the Rotten seems to sort of embrace or comfort it. These statues might possibly be the people who have died down here in the pits. He might be trying to comfort these hollows in their new life, and these statues seem to be a showcasing of his feelings towards his new community. What is rather odd though is that
No,
these
the
statues
rats.
in the boss room don't shoot poison at us, so it's possible that they weren't meant to shoot poison originally, and it's because of this poisonous rot that has taken over the pits that they're allowed to do so. Through our discussion about the Great Ones, you obviously noticed the connections between our old and new cast of characters, but you may have also noticed the lack of lore. There is a lot of information that is either completely unclear or only given some amount of weight thanks to the abundance of theories from the community. Dark Souls 2 is both the most understood and most confusing game within the trilogy, it just depends on what answers you're looking for. However, I feel like I'm content with this. One thing that bothered me about Dark Souls 1, as we discussed before, is that I left some of these boss arenas with more
I think Nito also tried to bring comfort to the dead. That's true, he probably did.
questions and answers. I wanted to know who the four kings of New Londo were and how they rose to power. I also wanted to know more about Nito and his role in the world after the war with the dragons, and while I definitely have similar questions regarding some of our great ones, I left majority of these areas feeling complete. Like I had learned what needed to be learned and I uncovered the real story. And that's the benefit of creating something like Dark Souls 2. We don't really need to know what these great ones did and how they shaped the fate of the world, because they didn't. Despite how important many of the characters in this game may seem, at the end of the day, they're just another kingdom in a long line of other kingdoms. No one is going to remember them, and no one is going to care about them. That is why I feel satisfied when leaving the Black Gulch or Sinner's Rise. I've uncovered enough lore to get a generous picture of their life, with a few holes just big enough for me to make some solid theories.
Yeah, that's literally how I feel about Seath. Seath, you're a traitor. It's the backstory that they describe for Seath is more than enough and fulfilling enough for me to be satisfied with the fact that no, he's just a bitch ass nigga. Simple. I'm never gonna let that go. I'm never gonna let it go. Because the catacombs are actually more in balance and in peace than every other area in DS1. Really? Well, I suppose. I have no respect for Seath. Like, this video, the one thing I'll commend him on is that he pulled no punches and told me exactly what that bitch ass nigga did. He is the worst character in Dark Souls 1, aside from Lodric. It's Lodric, it's Seath, the Outer Gods, or the Outer Gods, and Gwen. Y'all all suck. Y'all are ass. Y'all, Nito is cool as fuck. He don't be hurting nobody. The Witch of Izalith, Quelaag, Seathless Discharge. I think even Centipede Demon too. Like, everybody was just affected, but they were trying to do the right thing, you know? She was trying to make it right by getting rid of the first flame, but she just, you know. Anyway.
With all four great ones slain, we can now go to Drangleic Castle. Or can we?
Audio. So this is actually the cutscene that I completely missed. I got it when I linked the primordial flame from the Rotten's bonfire, but I completely missed it. From here, I missed it here. All of the explain yourself.
This is Aldia, the brother of King Vendrick and the scholar of the First Sin. Aldia's story is very unclear at the moment, but we'll eventually learn more about him later. Once we enter Drangleic Castle, we'll see this phantom by the name of Welliger. He's a sort of lore dump, which admittedly might not be the best way to handle this information, but given the nature of these games, where you can go a whole playthrough without really knowing anything, maybe it's necessary.
I'm fine with the lore dump. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. I'm perfectly fine with the lore dump. I actually liked all of the information that he provided here.
Regardless, Welliger shares with us some backstory on Drangleic and Vendrick. King Vendrick conquered four great ones and built a kingdom upon their very souls. He then met a lady named Nishandra who warned Vendrick of another looming threat. These beings were known as giants. King Vendrick would eventually cross the seas and battle these giants, completely decimating their civilization. As a consolation prize, he took most of them prisoner and ran experiments on them. This is what led to the creation of the golems, these beings we see inside the castle. And with the golems, he was able to build Drang.
Why would the Chandra say that? What they were just chilling across the ocean? Not bothering nobody. Bro, what? Yo, this is crazy.
Castle.
The same thing with the dragons. They saw the dragons as a threat. Why didn't Nishandra do that?
Game will acquire this item called the Ashen Mist Heart. This allows us to peer into the memories of some specific beings. Most of these memories are from dead giants we come across in the first level. These all showcase different sections of Drangleic being overrun by giants, and one of them even shows us the location of the giant lord. We see the destruction that they left.
Giants and dragons are like, I'm like, they ain't even hurting nobody. They ain't their only crime is being alive. They have hurt nobody. They've hurt no one. Do you not know how crazy that is? For me to just be minding my fucking business, and then you just come across the lake and kill my entire family all because I existed? Brother.
Drang Lake Castle in, and we can also see how outmatched the soldiers really were. Even though they outnumber them 3 or 4 to 1, they're getting decimated at every turn. But somehow they were able to persevere, considering there's no giants in Drang Lake. But I think the person responsible for some of this victory is us. These memories operate like Oolacile from Dark Souls 1, where we go back in time to alter the past and then go back to the present. This may tie into a subtle hint very early in the game. The first boss in Dark Souls 2 is the Last Giant, whose boss soul description reads, the Lord of the Giants, who had brought wreck and ruin to the entire...
We went back in time through the memories, right? And fought the Lord Giant. He just said Vendrick went across the ocean, battled the giants, and took them prisoner. And the first boss we fight is the Last Giant, who is a prisoner, who is the Lord Giant. That's why when you walk in that arena, he's pissed off because he remembers us. I need a refill on my drink, bro. This is too much. This is way too much. This is too much. This is too much. This is too much. We helped. We literally helped all of this happen. What the fuck?
Kingdom was said to have been felled by an unknown warrior. His beaten and broken remains were then dragged beneath the stronghold where he was sealed away. This random giant's soul references the giant lord and also describes the exact condition this giant is in, meaning this giant is the giant lord, and that must mean the unknown warrior was us. This might explain why he thrashes his arms around trying to
that's
break
why
free
he was
if
upset.
remembers us
That's
and
literally
wants
why he
revenge.
was mad.
This is the complete backstory of Drang Lake, which gives us enough answers to our questions, but simultaneously gives us new questions we want answers to, such as the whereabouts of Nashandra. Well, close to the top of the castle is the queen herself.
The last king of this land, King Vendrick, as he was called. He found the strength to rule his people, and when the undead were born, cursed, he found more strength to face them. But in the end, he never took the true throne. Visit Vendrick. We have no need for 2 rulers.
So Nashandra wants us to find King Vendrick, as she says there is no need for 2 rulers, but she also mentions that King Vendrick never took the throne. She just casually says this statement as if this isn't some huge revelation. Since Gwyn, people have been rekindling the flame, but Vendrick didn't. But that doesn't mean Vendrick wants to bring about an Age of Dark. He doesn't want either. This is even more unheard of, as no one has even attempted to invoke a 3rd solution to the fading of the first flame. But to learn more, we need to find Vendrick. He resides in the Undead Crypt, but blocking our path is 2 bosses, the Looking Glass Knight and Veldestad the Royal Aegis. Both of these fights were fantastic, both from the actual...
He said, "Don't be too quick to hate on Nashandra. She's a complicated character. I can fix her." I feel nothing for this lady yet. I don't know anything yet. I don't know. I know nothing yet. The only thing I know is that she put a little bit more juice in our battery that's already been in our back to visit Vendrick. But I know nothing about this lady. I have no idea.
Combat to the design of the bosses. I'm just upset that it took this long for this feeling to finally come to fruition. I rambled for sides in the Undead Crypt, but blocking our path is 2 bosses, the Looking Glass Knight and Veldestad the Royal Aegis. Both of these fights were fantastic, both from the actual combat to the design of the bosses. I'm just upset that it took this long for this feeling to finally come to fruition.
I definitely gotta disagree. I think the Looking Glass Knight is great. I think he's one of the better bosses. I agree that it kind of sucks that you have to go through all, the 4 Lord Souls or whatever they finally get here. Velostat though, kind of ass.
I rambled for quite a bit about the bosses in Dark Souls 1, like how Ornstein and Smough were fantastic, and how I despise the Bed of Chaos, but I haven't found the right time to talk about the bosses in Dark Souls 2, as there really isn't much to say. Most of them were pretty underwhelming for the most part, and this is down to a few factors. One was simply over-leveling. Since Dark Souls 2 has 32 bosses in the main game, it's very easy to miss some. I didn't find the Chariot or Old Dragon's Lair until much later when I revisited those areas, so I was a bit over-prepared for the boss fight. Dark Souls 1 had a really great way of gating the player's progression while also guiding.
I like Velostat. I think you had some unfortunate RNG. Maybe, because when I fought him, I was just disappointed. I kept strafing his attacks, and he just kept spamming the same swing attack. Like, I was just like, this boss is kind of booty. Like, like, I did not, maybe that's what it was. Maybe I just didn't have a good experience with fighting him, because he was light.
Them down a path, which in turn.
Now, looking last night though, that nigga's a problem. I actually was like, brother, you're blocking most of my attacks. I'm gonna have to really figure out how to get your. Oh, now you're summoning too. Oh, great, awesome. Now this gets even better. Like, I actually like that fight a lot.
Fight feel like a proper match. It wasn't a one-sided victory for the most part. There were a few exceptions, like when
he has some cool attacks. That's an issue with the AI in the first two Dark Souls. Yeah, because they're very easy to exploit. I even said the same thing when we did the Miracle Run, and I have found a nasty exploit on Manus. If you just stand by his right knee, he spams like 2 attacks, even in his second phase, and I just killed him. Like, kind of sucks, but yeah.
Pinwheel, but they have very low health pools, so it's a bit hard to judge them. The other 2 reasons are just down to overall enjoyment and the summons. The majority of the bosses in this game not only have summonable NPCs, but multiple at that. I had 2 summons for the Looking Glass Knight, and while the game does attempt to balance this by adding more health, we all know the main strength of the summons is to be an extra body for the boss to hit,
correct,
which means less attention on us. And
aggro.
This trivialized many fights. The Smelter Demon, the Rotten, and probably a few others were really easy with summons, but that comes to my next issue. To complete some of these NPC questlines we talked about earlier, they need to be summoned for bosses. As someone who's trying to get as much lore as possible in one playthrough, I needed to continue these summons questlines, so
maybe I didn't completely finish Lucatio's questline, because we got all the way up to Aldia's Keep, and then that was the last time we saw her, but I never summoned her for any fights.
Was gaining more progress with the NPCs, it came at the cost of the quality of the fights. This makes me even more disappointed, as many of these questlines didn't even go anywhere, so they were just completely useless and wasted my time. Some of the boss fights though just sucked regardless. I was pretty disappointed with the Chariot fight, even though it was a cool idea, I just wasn't a big fan of it, and this game's obsession.
You didn't like the Chariot fight? I actually liked it a lot. If you go back and look at my 24-hour live stream, I look irritated only because it was like 4 in the fucking morning and I'm tired. I was fucking sleepy. I actually like the execution of Chariot fight.
With gang fights is quite insane. The Ruined Sentinels and the Belfry Gargoyles were
fun,
entertaining in the slightest. Ornstein and
what? I actually had fun with this fight. This guy doesn't like anything. I thought this fight was fun. I thought you fight the first one here, and then eventually the other 2 will literally jump up or you go down to fight them. I was watching a video of somebody, her name is Miss Chalice, and she was reviewing, I didn't finish it though, she was playing through Dark Souls 2 and reviewing it too, and I did not know that the Ruined Sentinels can throw their shield into a wall and it gets stuck. Like, that's a small detail, and it stays like that for the rest of the fight. I had no idea that was here, but I thought that was pretty cool. I don't know. Some of the gang fights in Dark Souls 2 in Dark Souls 1, I think the reason why it works so well is because they're not, except for one, they're not toxic like how it is in fucking Elden Ring. The NPC and gank fights, Godskin Duo, Leda and her stupid idiots, those fights are fucking toxic as hell. They're never fun. They're never fun. But in the earlier games, Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3, I can't recall. Oh no, there was a gank fight, the fucking Spear of the Church. They're actually fun. They're enjoyable. Spear of the Church is, it's a cycle. You just have to figure out where your openings are, and they are NPCs. It works. I don't mind gank fights. They can be fun. Yeah, they can be chaotic, but they can be fun if you do them right. Like, if you make a gank fight and you put the main character in a room with 2 to 3 enemies, but those 2 to 3 enemies heal check you, read your inputs, pretty much those two, they heal check, they read your inputs, and have very obnoxious moves. Like the Godskin duo, they heal check you, they read your movements, and they consistently stay by each other. Toxic. Why? Why does that happen? Why? Well, you can summon for the fight. Why? His ass.
Because of how different they were in regards to their moveset and how the arena was designed. And the Bell Gargoyles were okay for the most part, since the second one...
Oh, yeah. Excuse me. Sorry, I don't mean to pause. This is my last one for a minute. The Bell Gargoyles fight in this, because I forgot about that boss. The Bell Gargoyles fight in this game is ass.
Halfway, plus they used different movesets. The Ruined Sentinels were the same enemy, copied 3 times, with 0 obstacles to separate them, minus the 1 platform you start on. And the Belfry Gargoyles got way out of hand, with close to 3 or 4 at the same time, in the same arena as the original fight, which is not that large and very open. I did manage to beat them on my own, so I was happy that I won, but only because I knew I'd never have to do that fight.
This boss is
As for
ass.
the 4 great ones, the Old King was just awful. Even though I had a summon with me, his moves would have been the same regardless, and they were almost too easy to evade. The other 3 were pretty good, but nothing spectacular. They did provide some intense moments, but I did have to summon Lucatiel for 2 of them, so I may have missed some of that spectacle. I will recognize, though, that this entire section is a very subjective
You're trolling.
thing, as a boss's enjoyment largely depends on the skill of the player and their build.
I keep forgetting about this boss.
All about my thoughts on the game. My opinion was that they were pretty underwhelming.
I keep forgetting about this boss.
Instead of focusing on fewer
This one and
bosses
that
with
congregation
locations,
one.
they created more, but at the cost of their depth. Behind the Looking Glass Knight is the Shrine of Amana and the aforementioned.
Ah,
These
here we
places
go.
were created specifically for the dead. Both the Milfinito and the Finito watch over these respective places in an attempt to guide the undead to their final destination. Both of these creatures have interesting backstories, as they were created by the Old Dead One, who we know as Nito. Both of them seem to be a reincarnation of Nito's soul, as if he created them and would have seen them in Dark Souls 1, but maybe they didn't plan that far ahead when making the games. Regardless, it is a nice detail, and finally gives us some actual story regarding Nito, so I was more than happy to listen to it. It also continues to reinforce the Old One's soul descriptions that mention how their souls still hold power over the land, as the power of Nito and his obsession with all things death are still utilized to this day. As for what they specifically do, it seems like the Milfinito enchant or comfort the dead via song, as their singing can be heard throughout the level, and the Finito are grave wardens who watch over the dead. Both of these groups seem to revolve around comforting the dead, so maybe Nito is a lot more like the Rotten than I had initially.
I don't know what it is, but I've always resonated with the death-based characters in these Souls games, even as late as Elden Ring with Fia. Because all they want to do is make sure that the dead are appeased and they're okay and they're taken care of. And I was thinking the same fucking things like myself. He kept saying... But no. I've always resonated with these characters. Not like, oh, I'm just like them, but in the sense of like, you really understand what they're doing and you empathize with why they're doing it. These entities and these beings have passed on. Some of them are not at peace, and they just watch over them. They just make sure that they're okay. They sing songs to appease them. They make sure they're guarded and protected. I like it. I wish they would play around more with those ideas, like in another Souls-like game where if you progress a specific quest line, say for example, it is people that live in death. It is people that have already passed on. When you enter these areas where they would normally be enemies, they actually don't attack you because you progress that quest line to be more aligned with them because you're walking that path. I wish there was more of that in Souls games, like almost like factions in a way. I think that'd be pretty interesting. I think when you're a Grim Reaper, you just gotta be a chill dude. Get out the way.
At the very end of the crypt is Veldestad, and while the boss fight was great, what really piqued my attention was his soul and the items acquired from that soul. Firstly, his soul is a dark purple and black color. This is the same as the DLC bosses from Dark Souls 1. I originally thought that this was made to distinguish the DLC from the main game, but it wasn't until Dark Souls 2 that I realized that the soul shape has actual meaning. This is an image of a normal boss soul in this game. Next is from one of the great ones.
Y'all can't see this, hold on. Yeah, y'all can't see that.
ones, and the other is of those affected by the darkness. Both Manus and the Royal Aegis have the same soul, meaning they're both affected by the darkness, and that's due in part to him being down here since Vendrick locked himself away in the crypt. Another detail that is interesting about Veldestad here is that his soul can buy miracles, specifically the Sacred Oath miracle, which is used by warriors who once served the God of Sun. So it seems like the Royal Aegis belong to the same covenant as Solaire. However, we can see that this miracle has either been warped or is unable to be casted, as he never actually uses this in the fight, and instead buffs himself with dark magic, further showing how dark his soul has become. After the Royal Aegis, we can meet Vendrick, and if you expected some grand entrance, then you're playing the wrong game.
You know, this actually kind of broke my heart. Seeing that this is what he became is extremely sad. Just wandering around in the darkness, dragging his blade, this is sad.
Just like Gwyn, the most powerful being in the game's world is reduced to a hollow and mindless state.
Yep.
Vendrick's condition actually seems to be much worse, as Gwyn at least retains some of his combat abilities, but Vendrick can barely swing his sword if you choose to fight him. All is not lost though for our king, as if we return with the Ashen Mistheart, we can peer into his memories and be able to talk with Vendrick prior to his hollowing.
Do you intend to link the fire? Then you must first take the throne. Prove your worth. Find the ancient crowns. Seek adversity, and they will be yours.
Vendrick tells us to seek the crowns. These crowns belong to 3 rulers, and also happen to be our 3 DLC. These DLCs not only provide us with additional lore regarding other kingdoms, but also what caused these kingdoms to collapse. When we finish each DLC, we can gain a crown, and after obtaining said crown, we can talk to Vendrick for more dialogue. Some of the dialogue is relevant later, but a common theme
Oh, I never did
is
this.
the idea that we're given a choice. All throughout Dark Souls 1, we were told to link the flame, and that if we failed, the Age of Dark would arise, and that would be the end of the world. But King Vendrick is more than content with you making your own choice. This goes back to what we discussed before. Vendrick didn't want an Age of Fire or an Age of Dark. He just wanted to find a way to break the curse. This also ties into his brother Aldia, and some of his dialogue when we meet him again.
All men trust fully the illusion of life. But is this so wrong? A construction, a facade, and yet a world full of warmth and resplendence. Young Hollow, are you intent on shattering the yoke, spoiling this wonderful form?
Aldia is definitely the most fascinating character in this game. Like Vendrick, he is completely aware that he is unable to change the world in their current state, so he just observes and sees what happens. Aldia says that the joy of life is warm and splendid, but it's a facade as the undead curse will eventually come back. But because of that warmth that life brings us, are we intent on shattering this illusion we live in and spoiling this false life we have? Or are we content with our lives and embrace the warmth and pleasure that comes with it, knowing full well that it's a lie? Aldia, just like the game, wants you to actually make a choice and not blindly follow what some random person will tell us. Use your own experiences, your own knowledge, and your own beliefs
Come to your own
an answer.
conclusion.
The way this was crafted was absolutely brilliant, and it shows how impressive the writing of this game truly is. But before we get to the DLC and obtain the crowns, we need to talk about the rest of the content. As to actually get the Ashen Mist.
Aldia, Socrates. Pave your own way, man. Your life is your own. You should not just walk a path all because somebody told you to. You need to find definition in your own path and definition in your own life. That's why I love Souls games. That's specifically why I like Souls games and Souls likes, where you make your own character and you decide how your story is going to go. You make that choice. Are you going to walk away from the throne? Or are you going to embrace the throne? And if you're going to embrace the throne, what kind of rule will you choose and decide for the world to come after? I love these games.
We need to travel to Aldia's Keep and the Dragon Shrine. Both Aldia and Vendrick sought to cure the curse, but had different methods of doing so. Vendrick shunned the undead as he wanted them as far away from the kingdom as possible. That's why he threw them in the undead prison of Lost Bastille. In here are hundreds of undead, including some volatile variants, as these were created by Aldia. Whereas Vendrick shunned the undead, Aldia embraced them as he felt that the key to breaking the curse was within the undead themselves, but he didn't welcome them with open arms, as they were all subjected to his various experiments. But Aldia went even further with these tests, and didn't just focus on the undead, but other species. He even recreated multiple dragons, a race of beings thought to be extinct by now. Despite what their names imply though, both the Guardian Dragon and the Ancient Dragon aren't actually dragons. The Guardian Dragon Soul can allow us to purchase the Drakewing Greatsword, which states that the Drakes are likely descendants of ancient dragons. This implies that this is actually a Drake and not a dragon. Furthermore, we know the dragons, especially the original dragons, are gone, as Kalameet was the last of the ancient dragons. This is still true, as the Ancient Dragon in Dark Souls 2 isn't a dragon, as it drops a soul of a giant. This thing used to be a giant and was somehow configured by Aldea through rigorous experiments to look like an ancient dragon. To get the actual ancient
What?
Dragon Soul, we need to use the Ashen Mist Heart again, but this time in Freya's boss arena, as it allows us to see the memories of the dead dragon hanging from the ceiling. This memory seems to show the original resting place of this dragon before it somehow made it down here. There's not a whole lot to learn from this place other than the fact that these large broken structures look similar to the ones outside Aldea's keep, and there's only one place in the world that we know that has giant structures like this. It is my belief that this is Ash Lake. It might not be the entirety of Ash Lake.
No, but it looks like it.
We don't really know how far these trees went, but it seems to be at least some part of it. In regards to time, this is most likely during the war between Gwyn and the dragons. Ash Lake existed back then, but it wasn't the Ash Lake that we're familiar with, as if you remember, it was all gray before fire was born. So the memory was during the war with the ancient dragons, and the present-day location of Aldea's Keep is where some part of Ash Lake used to be. With all the areas covered, we can head to the DLC, and it's advised to finish all the bosses and content you missed before going, which is why I retraced my steps and discovered the locations of the Dark Lurker and the Old Dragon Slayer. I didn't really find their stories that interesting, but I figured I would cover them before we continue.
Let's talk about
the
it.
Old Dragon Slayer seems to be someone who was using Ornstein's armor as a way to uphold his legacy, as not only does Ornstein have other plans, which we'll learn about in Dark Souls 3, some have claimed that this is a fragment of Ornstein's old soul that now possesses the armor, which would connect with the running theme of old souls from the past games coming to the present, just like with the 4 Great Ones. As for the Dark Lurker, there's pretty much nothing we know about this being at all. Their soul states that they're a remnant of some ancient dissipated being, and the color of their soul is not dark, implying that they weren't born or consumed by the Abyss, like the Royal Aegis or Manus. They also look very similar to these beings in the Undead Crypt that spawn when the bells are rung. Given the color of the Dark Lurker's soul, it's possible that this being was actually here to fight against the Abyss, similar to Artorias, but there is very little evidence to support this theory. But now we can officially start the DLC. Dark Souls 2 eventually released with 3 additional pieces of content: the Crown of the Sunken King, the Crown of the Old Iron King, and the Crown of the Ivory King. Given the disjointed nature of these DLCs, they could be played in any order as they don't contradict one another, but we'll just go in the order of release. The Crown of the Sunken King starts near the shrine beside the Rotten's boss room, and entering the shrine will take us to Shulva, the Sanctum City. Upon entering, we are greeted by not only a gorgeous view of the underground city, but also a dragon with a giant spear through its chest. This dragon is Sin. Long ago, a race of people found Sin sleeping in these caves, and because they had most likely never seen a dragon before, they worshipped him as a god. These people ended up building a city around the dragon, with the rulers of the kingdom being the Sunken King and his queen Alana. But something happened. A leader by the name of Sir Jorg found the underground city and mounted a siege against its inhabitants, with the intention of slaying the dragon they were guarding. Sir Jorg and his knights believed that killing dragons was a way to
I like that we know nothing about the Dark Lurker. It makes them unironically some of the most interesting beings. I agree, because they look really cool. And I kind of wish we had more context as to who the hell these beings are, what this thing is supposed to be. Maybe it's an entity comprised of the no, because if it was, then they would have depicted that. He said that it was specifically. I mean, there's a theory that this was somebody or an entity that went down to also fight against the Abyss. But there's not a whole lot supporting that. I don't know. I really wish we knew a little bit more. I'm not gonna lie.
A true understanding of life, so they hunted it down. After making it past all their defenses, Sir Jorg was face to face with Sin himself, and that giant spear in his chest was from him. But clearly, Sin lived this wound, and that's because upon awakening from his slumber, he released a giant cloud of poison that coated the entire city. That may also explain why the Black Gulch is covered in this poisonous green liquid, since it's right next to the city, but there's no way to confirm. Before we fight Sin, though, we have to fight Alana, so somehow, despite the poison and the attack from Sir Jorg, she managed to live. Well, this might be due to her true form. According to her boss soul and weapon, we can piece together that when the Abyss dissipated, it was broken into fragments, and eventually these fragments came to create a life, meaning that Alana is the daughter of Manus. The reason the Abyss was broken was that the chosen undead defeated Manus back in Dark Souls 1, and since he was called the father of the Abyss, that would make Alana his daughter. Clearly, she poses a threat to more than just Shulva, so we need to put her down. After her death is when we gain access to Sin.
Dang, I wanted to know more about Alana. I mean, we kind of just It's
Wind
cool. It's
wasn't
cool. It's
too
cool. It's
bad.
cool. It's
He
cool.
has
It's
a unique
cool.
mechanic where the poison from his breath can break the durability of your weapon, which could possibly kill the entire run if you're not careful. The only issue is that this seems to do an insane amount of durability damage, as my
Yes, it
bandit
does.
with only 50 durability was destroyed in a few hits. I'm not entirely sure if 50 is on the low end of durability, but going through all the weapons I picked up across my whole playthrough, they were all between 40 and 70, so if anything I should be right in the middle. This wouldn't have been that bad though if Sin didn't act like the Guardian Dragon and just stayed put for more than a few seconds. I think you could see from the gameplay the amount of chances I have to actually hit this thing are extremely low. I think
he just had bad RNG because my winning at 7, he was staying around. He was actually sitting around quite a bit.
Shova so engrossing is the location. How do you possibly build a giant civilization underground, and for what reason? That's at least what I was thinking going into the DLC. And while I got my answer, I wasn't entirely satisfied with it. One reason why is down to dialogue, as there was no NPCs in this DLC to talk or converse with. We can't gain any new information, as all the people that could have been NPCs are now just walking corpses. Given that Sin poisoned the whole city, I wonder if adding one NPC at the very beginning of the level who's the only survivor of the attack would have been a better idea.
No! My camera froze. Hold on. Here we go. All right, let's get back into.
They could have provided the player with additional information.
I think I will stop after Dark Souls 2 because this video is it's long. It's long. I'm feeling a little sleepy. Your boy feeling a little sleepy, but we'll probably pick back up tomorrow with Dark Souls 3 and then another video like right after that. But we'll see. Let's see.
Information surrounding the city, such as why they worship the dragon or how they managed to build all these structures, because in its current state it feels a bit unfinished. The Crown of the Old Iron King is our second DLC and is of course based around the Old Iron King from the main game. This DLC takes place in
I think out of the 3 DLCs, this is the one I wanted to know probably the most about.
the largest towers he erected, called the Broom Tower. To find the crown, we need to traverse the entire
That's fair,
tower
yeah.
all the way down to the bottom, which was incredibly tedious. There were a lot of traps and enemies that can be very annoying to deal with, but given that the DLC seemed to want to spike up the difficulty, these additions kind of made sense.
You know, hearing people's opinions over Souls games in certain areas and whatnot, it's very interesting for me. And I think it ultimately comes down to a matter of fucking perspective, because I actually enjoyed this area more than the original base game Iron Keep. I think the base game Iron Keep is hated it. I hated it. Did not have a good time. But here, I actually enjoyed it. Since you wanted to know about the Queen, I added a lore video. Oh, thank God. Thank you for that. All right, that sounds good. This video is far from perfect, but for how short it is, you can't really complain. No. I literally have little to no complaints. I think he did a fantastic job breaking everything down. This is a fantastic video, bringing anybody into the lore. Even if there are theories that were entertained that aren't necessarily confirmations for the game's solidified canon story, I still think this video does a fantastic job in breaking everything down, clear and cut, so that you know exactly what you're getting yourself to and what's going on. Dark Souls 1 broke my heart. Oh, I have complained. I know you do. I know. He's a bit of a hater on certain things, but that's fine. And that's okay. Because like I said, again, and this is what I was saying earlier, that it comes down to a matter of perspective. How you perceive, like, certain things, even, like, from a gameplay, take away the story, a gameplay perspective, right? Certain areas that he has said are kind of tedious or not that entertaining or whatever the case may be. For me, I actually found myself enjoying quite a bit, found it fun, the whole 9 yards. And then when it comes to the story, some things I was fine with and accepted, but I know for other people they wanted more. What's the word? They wanted more weight. They wanted more weight from the story. They wanted more weight from the characters. I do agree though, for the Crown of the Sunken King, I want to know more about the story, and introducing NPCs is a great way of doing that. That's how you add a lot more weight to your story, by adding NPCs. In the Crown of the Sunken King, there are literally fucking nobody. It's just you. And it was still a great DLC, don't get me wrong. But sometimes I kind of want to know what I'm getting myself into, and that is not always on my plate when it comes to certain Souls games. And I think that could be better.
tediousness also added to the realism of the level, as it takes quite a long time to scale this entire tower, which is logical given its size. And the tower itself isn't just empty space, as all
Shit took me fucking 3 hours.
is used for some sort of purpose, whether it's these smaller guys carrying these giant barrels or the vast amount of machinery within the tower that was made to produce iron. It also fits in well with the theme of the old Iron King's obsession with iron and how he gained a lot of power from his production of iron. This DLC, however, adopts the same storytelling as the Sunken King, in that there are no NPCs to talk to throughout the entirety of its runtime.
Damn.
What makes the Broom Tower different from Shova is that we already have numerous levels and items filled with lore about the Iron King. Shova was a completely new area with zero reference to the main story, which is why I enjoyed it a bit less regarding the NPC interaction than the Broom Tower.
That's fair.
Even though the first boss is technically another Smelter Demon, the real first boss is actually the Fume Knight. I have zero issues regarding this fight. I actually thought it was perfect. I've stated this many times before.
This is a great boss. I will always praise the two out of the 3 bosses from this DLC. The Fume Knight is a fantastic fucking boss. Fantastic. Fantastic. If you lose to the Fume Knight, it is your fault. It's your fault. If you lose to Sir Alone, it's your fault. If you lose to Sin, it's your fault. It's on you. All of the, like, for the most part, the DLC bosses, if you lose to them, it's literally your fucking fault. And the Blue Takis boss? No. No, 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 no. I mean, technically, yes. Because you already fought him before. He's just a beefier version. He's just ass. I'm sorry. The reskin shit that they did with Alva, they did with him, the double Dragon Rider, the old Dragon Slayer boss, aka Ornstein. Stop doing that, bro. Stop doing that. It's whack. Stop filling the space. Stop trying to fill the space and make it feel full. It doesn't feel full. It feels like a fucking chore. Stop reusing bosses. Stop doing it. It's lame. It is lame. Smelter Demon is a good fight, at least, and there isn't 2 of them. Yeah, I enjoy Smelter Demon from the base game, but I was annoyed that there was a, I'm not gonna lie, the run back to getting to the blue Smelter Demon is tedious. Now, granted, when we got to the Smelter Demon, the blue one, I never had to run back to him. I got him on my first try because I already fought him. But I could see myself getting annoyed if it took me 2 or 3 tries, having to run all the way back through that dark area, that dark glow area. They should have made a 3rd one, but green. Ah, yeah, I would have turned the game off. I would have turned it smooth off. RGB Smelter Demon.
Fast combat of the future FromSoft games as opposed to the...
I don't know if you guys ever played Golden Axe. Golden Axe, they did that, not like with bosses, but in different levels, they literally recycled the same enemy type, but the pixel, like the color palette for the pixel, was either darker or a different color, and they were just stronger by the level. They, like... If I walk through a fog wall and I read Smelter Demons, yeah, I'm going hollow. I'm not going hollow, I'm going home. And this shit's getting uninstalled.
Methodical nature of the early Souls games. It's not that one is objectively better than the other, it's just a personal preference of mine, and just like with Artorias and Manus, the Fume Knight is another boss that is slowly ramping up the speed of its attacks. They aren't incredibly fast.
Yeah, he gets a lot more aggressive in the second phase. This boss is great, man. This boss is great.
Definitely a far more faster paced fight compared
this
to
boss is great, bro.
And this even continues with
I enjoyed the hell out of this boss.
It's just like the other.
Frigid Outskirts turns a man hollow. Yeah, it does. Yeah, that'll do it. That'll make you lose your hair. Frigid Outskirts will make you lose your hair. You'll lose 20 pounds off of your life. You'll lose protein in your blood. You lose iron in your blood. Yeah, your left eye will go bloodshot, and you'll get pink eye for no damn reason. You'll walk out with a sore throat. It's gonna ruin your week. Is he not going to talk about the Fume Knight's lore? Is there lore regarding the Fume Knight? You're gonna have to put another video in the playlist. Cause I'm like, I was so pressed on like, no, this boss is great. I didn't even pick that up.
Of this game where you have to look at your health, stamina, and both your and the
still got nice long blood flowing locks. Oh, blonde, excuse me. Good lord, I can't read. Still got nice long blonde flowing locks, so I'm lucky. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean, you want to know why you're lucky? I'm gonna tell you why. The reason why you're lucky is because you only did it once. It took you one attempt. Not one attempt, but you did it one time. You got it out the fucking way, and you never had to do it again. Some people willingly choose to go there consistently. I don't know why, but they go there. Yeah, well, if I add more lore, you'll tear off your non-existent hair. Fuck you. But I don't mind. I don't mind. If you gotta fill that playlist up, I'm fine with it. If you feel like, oh, you know, I think he might like this video on such and such character or such and such world, such and such place, fill it up, boss, enemy. I don't mind. Y'all fill that bitch up.
Boss's positioning all at the same time, and then
that one time was 5 hours. 5 hours, brother. Yeah, I would have quit.
Calculate what to do given the parameters, except much faster. I understand this is not everyone's cup of tea, but it's most definitely mine. And even better,
Same.
the Fume Knight has actual ties to a previous character from the main game.
Oh!
King Vendrick had 2 trusted knights who he considered his left and right arm. One was Veldestat and the other was the Fume Knight. However, the two clashed, which led to the Fume Knight's defeat. What's interesting is that if you the Royal Aegis, purchase his helmet, and then wear it during the fight, the Fume Knight will start his second phase almost immediately, showing that he
What?
still has a grudge against
Oh, we are doing that. I don't care. I don't care. Remind me when we get to the old Iron King DLC, buy the Veldestat helmet because I am doing that. I am doing that. That is fire. That is fire. The lore is just Fume Knight and Veldestat were beefing. Too much of a hater on this game. Yeah, I thought he wasn't gonna talk about it either. Straight. By the way, I refuse to let that area continue into a second day. That's fair. Because the last thing that you want to do is going to sleep knowing that you did not beat that area. That's the last thing that you want. Nope. That area, that boss, whatever, it dies today. I'm gonna tell you this. The one time I felt that crushing defeat, I played a little DLC expansion last year in 2025 during the summertime when my PC was having a heart attack. Do the Frigid Outskirts hit list. Yeah, you lost your fucking mind. I'm not doing that. I played the Lies of P Overture DLC, right? 10 out of 10 DLC. You can't convince me otherwise. I think that DLC is amazing. It adds so much context and weight to the story already. Great, right? When I got to Arlecchino, who is still by far one of the hardest bosses I have ever faced in my entire fucking life, I tried to fight him for like 2.5 hours, maybe close to 3, and could not get him. I was sad. Because at that point, I was so burnt out. I exhausted every weapon, every skill I had. I sat there and I was just like, brother, I don't know what the fuck I have to do. I don't know what I gotta do. I was so fucking hurt. I was bothered by that. So much so, I came back. I don't know if it was the next day or the day after. It was early in the morning. I was like, I'm killing him now. I'm killing him right now because that boss is too much. That boss is on fucking crack.
He wandered the land in search of power and eventually came across the Broom Tower.
Oh, let me close these out. The Broom Tower, okay.
And met Nadalia, the Bride of Ash. Nadalia would have been the queen of the old Iron King, but she arrived at the keep after he died.
You guys only spent 2 hours on a boss. I spent like 2 days on Freed. Sister Freed? It took you 2 days? Again, because from what you told me, Slickmeister, it seems like you have limited experience with Souls games, which is okay. That's fine. I've been playing Souls games since I was 14. So, I'm not saying, like, oh, I'm better than you or nothing like that, but it's just a matter of experience. Like, I've fought Sister Freed countless times, Gwen countless times, not Gwen, Gale countless times. It's just a matter of experience. But then again, you even said I make up for it by being hot as fuck. Well, congratulations. I was gonna say you make up for it because you said that you're actually good at Sekiro. Well, I'll say like I'm 50-50 on both. Like I have sessions where I'm playing something like Lies of P or even Sekiro where my parry game is just off. It's ass. But then I have sessions where I'm playing those same games and all of a sudden I'm like I'm a parry god, right? Some people are consistently good at that stuff. I'm not. I'm not consistently there yet. I've been playing this since 16, I want to say. Yeah, so it's just a matter of experience.
Despair because of this and ended up separating her soul across the Broom Tower inside these ashen idols, which caused the tower to be covered in this thick black fog. This fog has the power to control those who wish to serve her and kill those who refused. When the Fume Knight arrived, instead of destroying the fog like he could have done, he actually just opted to be consumed by it, which is why he sits at the bottom of Broom Tower defending the remains of Nadalia. Since she has the ability to create this black fog and her soul is colored in darkness, it is once again safe to assume that she is another daughter of Manus. If you're noticing a theme here, then you're catching on to the point of these DLCs. Each one of them is centered around a kingdom that a daughter of Manus inhabited. And this goes for our final DLC. But before we leave the Broom Tower...
Interesting. And I'm liking this.
There's a secret room we can discover with Sir Elon's armor, and by using the Ashen Mist Heart, we can go back in time to when he was stationed at the tower. This leads to the boss fight we discussed earlier, but it's a memory, and if we take what we know about the memories and apply it here, we can discover even more lore about Sir Elon. If we assume that the unknown warrior that bested the Giant Lord is us since we went back in time, then we're also responsible for killing Sir Elon. So that statement I said earlier about Sir Elon leaving to search for new lands was possibly a lie, as it may have been told by the old Iron King so that his soldiers don't uncover his true fate, which makes things a lot more sinister than they seemed. Our third and final DLC.
That makes sense though. If it's following the same way memories work in this game, then we kill Sir Elon, and a story was just told saying that no, he just left. But we actually killed him. Wow. He said, no, I had to be younger because I started before COVID. You know, I literally walked in my brother's room and he was on Vort, and I was like, what are you playing? Because he had uploaded like 2 clips and I had saw it. I don't remember where he uploaded. It might have been on Facebook or something, but I saw it and I was like, what are you playing? He was like, oh, it's Dark Souls 3. And me, at that point, I had already played through Fable 3. So I was already into RPGs. And I got into it. The minute I saw that you could create your character and select a class, I was already sold. I didn't care. I got into the game, I was like, no, this feels good. And then I got stuck on Udex Gundyr for an hour and a half. It just happened. I personally don't believe it's time travel, but that's just me. I mean, but everything kind of links that way, no? Like, even with the old giant, the Lord Giant. That's why he gets angry when he sees us, is because we are the ones that put him there, or helped to put him there. It's interesting. And then even with how it worked in Dark Souls 1, when you go back to the Ulasil Township to fight Artorias, and then you get a special cutscene with Sif in the base game. I personally think that's kind of how it works. Maybe he's just angry because he hates fucking humans. Could be. Maybe it's because of what happened, right? That's what triggered him. That could be the case too.
Is the crown of the Ivory King. The Ivory King was the ruler of the kingdom Eleum Lois. Upon entering, we can see that it is covered in snow, and given that there isn't any snow in Drang Lake, we must be pretty far from the original kingdom. As we approach, though, we are told to leave. This voice tells us that the old chaos still hungers, and that we are forbidden from entering.
Get out.
Clearly, we're not going to listen and charge headfirst through the front gate. Eventually, we'll meet with the first boss of the DLC, Ava. This is one of 7 pets that the Ivory King kept in his kingdom. Each one seemed to have a specific role in the kingdom.
7?
As Ava was tasked with guarding the king's Child of Dark. This Child of Dark is Alsana, and as you would expect, she is our third daughter of Manus, but her story is a lot less destructive.
I think it's just memory taking form, and therefore we can take items in a memory. Yeah, I mean, I can see it that way too. I could definitely see it that way too.
Alsana was born, she felt fear. This is because she was a manifestation of Manus' fears. All of the daughters of the Abyss are a manifestation of something. Nadalia seemed to be Manus' despair, Elana was possibly a manifestation of Manus' wrath, and Alsana was his fears. But when
I want to rehear that again.
The daughters of the Abyss are a manifestation of something. Nadalia seemed to be Manus' despair. Elana was possibly a manifestation of Manus' wrath, and Alsana was his fears.
That would make sense as to why Elana's the only one that you fight. And then the third one, she pleads with you because of what's going on.
But when Alsana was born, the king managed to find her and welcomed her into his kingdom. He provided the comfort she desperately needed and was kind enough to not shun her away even after he discovered her true origins. It's because of this kindness that she stayed in Eleum Lois and continued to fulfill the Ivory King's wish, which was to hold back the Old Chaos. The Old Chaos is the Flame of Chaos, the same one created by the Witch of Izalith.
Wow, okay. But why say it was an unknown warrior instead of like Vendrick or someone that we know? That's why I'm like, the minute they indicated this, that it's got to be us. Cause what other unknown? Why would they paint that picture? Like even as something as late as Elden Ring, where they talk about Millennia's teacher and they say it's a master of flowing, the flowing blade. That's not saying unknown warrior. That's just saying that she had a master that we've never met before, that mastered a specific technique and fighting style. Here it says specifically an unknown warrior. I just like to think that Sir Alone didn't die to our bitch ass. Because a lot of random undeads have done remarkable stuff, but I'm not saying I'm correct. I just feel bad for Sir Alone. That's fair. That's fair. That's fair. I think I'm fine with both interpretations on however you perceive it. I think it's fine.
It's unknown when this was discovered by the Ivory King, but once he did find this ancient monstrosity, him and his fellow knights set out to extinguish it, but they were defeated as none had come back. Alsana wants us to defeat the Old Chaos so that we can uphold the mission of the Ivory King. To do this, though, we're going to need some other knights of Eleum Lois, as they are absolutely necessary if you want the fight to be possible. Once that's set, we can jump down into the Old Chaos again, just like we did with Lost Izalith, and this boss is absolute perfection.
Thank you.
Fights in the Souls game
Thank you.
Get better with summons, and the Ivory King is one of them.
Yep.
I felt like I actually had to apply strategy to an encounter, which is the first time the series has required.
Shout out to my dog Terrence, bro. That man came in clutch. I'm also someone that doesn't like the time travel shenanigans because it's messy really quick. The only times I don't like it is if it's done in a horrible manner. Like if it's done in a way where I'm literally left with 20 questions, I think you failed. And it's very, very, very easy to do that. The trope that I don't like, in video games and specifically movies though, it mainly applies to like movies and stuff like that. The whole idea of, oh, you were dead the whole time. That shit is the most cop-out, lame, corny theme you can put in anything. That whole idea of, oh, you were dead the whole time. You weren't alive the whole time. Corny. Corny. That tells me that you did not have the skill. Aside from a few exceptions, you didn't have the fucking skill to literally write a proper ending to the story that you were telling me. You had no idea what you were doing. It works for Dark Souls since they leave things so open. Yeah, it's fantasy, so it's not because it's ridiculous or anything.
I felt like I actually had to apply strategy to an encounter, which was the first time the series has required me to do that.
Correct.
I don't mean strategy in the sense of reading the boss's moves and making sure how to punish and when, as that's just baked into the overall combat of the encounters, but I mean the actual decision-making I had to employ, such as which enemy to attack and when, which was something I did not expect I would be doing going into this fight. I was running around finding knights who were outnumbered and assisting them, or if it was the opposite side of the spectrum, I would add myself into.
They literally turned this boss. I keep pausing a lot. I'm so sorry. I can't help it. I can see why a lot of people don't like when reactors do that, but I don't care. I don't care. They literally turned this fight into a 6v. This is Marvel Rivals. You gotta appeal for your backline, bro. The minute you see one of your knights is down, hey, hold on, I got you. I'm peeling. Ping that nigga. Ping him. Avengers in-game time travel is Dookie. Oh, I know. Literally, the best part of Avengers Endgame is the last 28 minutes when Thanos shows up and blows everything up. Everything else prior to that is so ass, bro. It's ass. The point of reaction is to react. Thank you! And that's what I'm doing. I'm engaging, you know? Slightly unrelated, but do you think every Souls game is better than Elden Ring? Because at this point, I do. Fuck. I think Elden Ring is the most, and listen to me closely, I think Elden Ring is the most polished gameplay-wise out of the three. And gameplay wise meaning your animations, the way the game feels, combat-wise, guys, I'm trying to be excited for Elden Ring. It's still a great game. Don't get it twisted. Please don't get it twisted. I think Elden Ring is still a great game for what it is. It is. It is. It is. However, at least from what I'm gathering and playing here, right? I think what also helps Elden Ring excel so much is the vast amount of options for the replay value. It's way the replay options and value for Elden Ring is a little wider and bigger than the Soul series, and that's only because they're limited. Elden Ring is current and has a lot of options, a ton of options on how you can play that game. The real question is Bloodborne the best Souls game? I couldn't tell you. I've never played it. I've never played it, but I hear from a lot of people it's their favorite Souls thing ever. Same for Sekiro. I would say I prefer Dark Souls 3 above the three being Dark Souls 1, 2, and Elden Ring. But gameplay wise, because of how fun Elden Ring can be, I think gameplay wise it beats all of them. In terms of story, I think the trilogy got it, especially after this video, and we haven't even gotten to 3 yet, which we'll probably be picking up tomorrow. I think story-wise, I think these 3 games got it. Like, I felt really bad for The Witch of Izalith. That is sad. That entire section of Dark Souls 1 is dark and sad. And I'm not saying Elden Ring does not have emotional moments, but I have a very tough time connecting with a lot of the characters in Elden Ring and their motivations. Some of them kind of come off a little silly and a little more... Like, I'm sorry. The Corrin and Goldmask shit is fucking silly. It's silly. It's silly. I'm sorry. Call it what you want to call it. It's silly. But then you also have stories like Fia that are pretty fucking sad. You have stories like Millicent that's pretty sad and pretty like it pulls you in. But it's not a constant thing in Elden Ring. Most times characters just kind of show up and die. like Bach, who got turned into a real boy and curled up into a ball, or that random, I think what's his name, Thops, who dies after like 2 interactions. So it's not a whole lot for me there. I think objectively BB is good, but not my cup of tea. Sekiro is goated though. That's fair. So I think I don't care. I've never liked ranking games. There's ways to celebrate games without having to compare them. I can love Sekiro and Dark Souls equally. Yeah, that's fair. 100%. I don't mind comparing them because at the end of the day, it does come from the same company. So it's very interesting to see how they adapt the style, improve upon it, and where they fell short. And I feel like with Elden Ring, because it's such an open game, I just really had a hard time connecting with the story emotionally. Like there are very few characters where I was like, I really liked you, but it's not a whole lot. You know, it's not a ton. It's not a ton. I love Alexander, Millicent. I love Stellan. I love Blythe. That's probably it's like 4. But in the Soul series, the Firekeeper is great. Andre is great. Lucatil is great. Vingar is great. Benhar is great. Solier is great. Sigwire and Sigmire are both great. There are so many of them. There's a ton of them. I wanted to care for letting her champions when the DLC was advertised for Elden Ring, and then you get into it and it's just like, yeah, that's it. Yep, that's it. It's like, alright, cool. But Dung Eater is the best. I still need to do a cursed run. That's the only ending I've never gotten. I've gotten the base. What is it? Age of the Stars, Golden Age, the frenzy ending, and I've gotten the what else am I missing? the Age of Dustborn. I've never gotten the Curse one though. But yeah, I think overall Elden Ring is easily the most polished, and it has a cool story to follow. But in terms of like pulling me in, the trilogy got it for me.
Making the fight easier. This is almost necessary for the fight as well, since you're going to be doing the most amount of damage compared to all the other knights, so your decision in this fight will largely impact how the second phase will go. I'm not entirely sure if the knights can die in the first phase, given they have an obscene amount of health, but if they can, it just further adds to my point. Having two giant teams of warriors fighting against one another is one of the greatest things I've ever experienced, and is without a doubt the best fight this game has to offer. From the actual fight to the layout of the arena, which is engulfed.
And I think honestly, in terms of the best fights, that comes down to Sur Alone and Burnt Ivory King. It depends on your preference. If you like because both of them are completely different fights, but both of them are easily the best fights in the entire game. Summons Only is pretty fun in Elden Ring. I think I will do a Pokemon run one day. I think I will. I think that'd be pretty fun. I think I'll love BB because anything with Lovecraftian horror gets a like from me. I want to try it again. I definitely want to try Bloodborne again. 100%. It's been a minute. It's been well over a decade. Yeah, I think going forward for like Dark Souls 1 and 2 and 3, Elden Ring, I've been doing different builds, elemental based builds like Pyromancy and Miracle. I want to go back to challenges. I want to go back to like legitimate challenges to make it as, in a way, as difficult as possible. I miss those. I think the last legitimate challenge that we've done was Bow and Arrow for Elden Ring, and that was fucking hard. Millennia pissed me off. That shit took 4 hours. Shit was hard. But I want to get back at that.
Game of Chaos, it was just all perfect, and would have been such a great way to end this trilogy of additional content. But never in my life.
That's my favorite author, but that's why I say Bloodborne is a game I love to watch, but don't care for the list fair. It's a style preference.
The finish line. The Frigid Outskirts is an optional location that the player can discover towards the end of the DLC, and it is awful. It's painstakingly difficult. Just from the design alone, it might actually be the worst level in any Souls game ever made. The bonfire before entering the coffin is the only bonfire in the area, meaning you have to go from one end of the map to the other just to get to the boss fight, which is just 2 more of the Ivory King's pets. Their lore is thankfully super basic and not important at all, as their job was just to hunt exiles that were presumably sent out of the kingdom and into the Frigid Outskirts. This area would not be nearly as hard if the horses didn't keep spawning every few feet, not only wasting your time, but draining your Estus in the process, making the boss fight that much harder. It's just...
That's the only bonfire, the entry point of... Brother, I'm never touching this area. I'm never touching this area. I'm never touching it. I'm never touching this area. Look how much time left there is for DS3's lore. Oh yeah, no, I'm saving this for tomorrow. No, if we start DS3, I'm gonna pass out. Jesus Christ. There's literally a whole hour and a half just for DS3 alone. We are saving that for tomorrow or maybe Sunday. It depends on my schedule. I will let y'all know. But that is a whole stream in itself, especially since I kept pausing a lot, and I've been live for 3 hours. I talk a lot, I'm sorry. But there ain't no fucking way. There ain't no way.
An awful location, and I think
we're gonna wait. We're gonna wait for that. Definitely gonna wait for that.
We're just gonna cut it right here. As a complete package, the DLCs were pretty solid. There were things in each that I found a little unpleasant, like the method of storytelling or an entire area, but there was many things I liked about the DLCs, and due to this confliction, I can't say that together they're perfect, but they're nowhere near close to being bad. It's hard to judge whether this was an actual improvement over Artorias of the Abyss, considering that was one DLC with half the content that played out over half the time. This is also due to the Souls games business model. If people complain about anything regarding the DLCs of the Souls games, it's that they're too short rather than too long. Whereas many games like to make additional content with runtimes of up to 6 to 10.
I would actually kind of rate them about the same. The 1 DLC from Dark Souls 1 and the 3 from Hero. I'll probably rate them about the same. Let me see. Keep in mind, this is the shortest video I could find that was decent. This was the shortest one. Crazy. I hope it's tomorrow. I'm gonna watch The Conjuring with a friend of mine on Sunday. Ooh, yeah, it very well may be tomorrow, cause it'll be. I'll probably finish this video out and then watch another one that's in that playlist. I also hope tomorrow, cause Sunday is D&D day. Okay, I'll do it tomorrow. Yeah, there's a 9-hour long lore video on the trilogy. Yeah, nah, that would take forever. You see how long we only got an hour and a half in, and I've been live for 3 hours. Yeah, I'll do it tomorrow. I don't mind. I could do it tomorrow.
Whereas Dark Souls is pretty much content with 2. It never overstays its welcome. In fact, it sometimes leaves too early, and doing this gives us less time to learn about the DLCs and the locations they reside in. But as I said at the top of this section, as a complete package, they were pretty great. With all the crowns in our inventory, we can revisit Vendrick, who will now provide us with some very important dialogue.
Yeah, this is what I wanted to see. I wanted to see this shit, bro. 11-hour video on just Ain't no fucking way, bro. No, man, no. That is fucking crazy. 11 hours for just for Dark Souls 1 alone. Is he really complaining about the DLC? No. I don't think he's complaining. I think, you know, the one thing that he wanted is probably what I wanted from, at least from something like The Crown of the Sunken King, and that's just more story. The Crown of the Sunken King, you walk in there and there's like little to no story. You have to kind of like piece that shit together yourself.
The abyss once had form, but then dissipated. And yet, traces of its existence endured. Each fragment, thirsting for power, spread dark with no relent. My dear Chandra was one such fragment.
So we now know the 4th.
Cause I was like, that's what confused me. I was like, her name is Nashandra, and the final boss is Nashandra. So I was like, did she just turn into that?
And final daughter of Manus, Nashandra, the Queen of Drangleic. Nashandra is a manifestation of Manus' feelings of power and want. She came to this land in order to covet the first flame. This explains why Vendrick was in the Undead Crypt. Vendrick left the kingdom because he discovered Nashandra's true origins, and not only locked himself away in the crypt, which was guarded by one of his loyal knights, but he also hid his soul, as Vendrick doesn't drop this upon his death. It's hidden behind a secret door only accessible to those who are human, and Nashandra never truly was. That's why she's been so adamant that we succeed Vendrick. She figured
so she can get the soul. Wow. He genuinely loved her, but when he found out who she was, he was just like, I have to keep this away from you.
Figures that will blindly follow her orders so that we can clear all the obstacles in her path, because once we finally get to the Throne of Want and defeat the knights guarding it, she appears. Similar to the Ivory King,
wow.
Leagues better when the summons were included, mostly due to the narrative aspect, since both Benhart and Vengarl were helped due to me, so it's only right that they return the favor.
Yep.
The boss design is impeccable, and continues to uphold the standard that the final bosses of the game have, but not even Nashandra is the
So that was her plan the whole time. We take out Vendrick, and then she shows up and takes his soul. Because she knew we would find it. Because we're human, and she can't get it. Wow. The manifestation of want. This shit is good. This shit is good. This shit is good.
Aldia is the actual final boss,
yep.
Assuming you fulfilled a few tasks along the way, which is just meeting him a few times in specific locations, and then specifically killing Vendrick before Nashandra. As a final boss fight, though, it felt like a bit of a letdown.
Same. I said the same thing. Yep. I said the same thing. I was like, design-wise, boss-wise, I'm not fucking with this boss. I'm not gonna lie. It's kind of ass. But I really like Nashandra's character because she's not even really a person. She's more the embodiment of want, want, a feeling, desire. She is the embodiment of lust. She is. That's what she is. She's lust. The strongest desire for something. That's why she just sat there and was just like, well, there can't be two kings, so. And because we're technically human, we can go get his soul, and she couldn't. That's why she showed up randomly. Because I was confused. I was like, how do we get from the Throne Watchers to you? That makes sense.
Behind her, Aldi has been this ominous figure that just shows up, says a bunch of shit, and then leaves, and
right.
Now all of a sudden I'm supposed to care that we're fighting him. I get why he's fighting us. He's supposed to test our might to see if we're truly going to be the next monarch of the Throne of Want, but that doesn't make it right. The same could be said for Nashandra, given she makes an appearance a whole 2 times in this game, but that seemed to be intentional, as the reveal of Nashandra was supposed to be this mysterious event, which makes this next part even more confusing, as the Emerald Herald can literally spoil for us that Nashandra will be coming for us. I completely missed missed her on the way down, so I never got to hear this, which ultimately made the impact of this cutscene hit harder, which begs the question of why it was mentioned in the first place. I find it hard to believe that many people miss Nishandra at the top of the castle, so they're well aware of who she is, so just keep the mystery hidden until the final moments. It kills the entire impact of the scene if we're just told right before entering that she's gonna fight us. After the defeat of the 3 bosses, we can select our ending, and while this game does have 2 endings, what these endings represent is rather interesting. Our first ending is entering the Throne of Want. This is sort of like the kiln of the First Flame, just a little bit different. It allows us to choose the fate of the world, but we never get to see our choice. It is both the Age of Fire and the Age of Dark ending together. It's never known what our character chooses, but that's the part of the roleplay when it comes to RPGs. We make up the rest of the story. Did our character choose Fire? Did they choose Dark? Or did they do something else? And that something else is following in the footsteps of Vendrick and Aldia. We leave the throne and search for an answer to the undead curse. We don't know if we'll succeed, but it's worth a try anyway. Doing this is sort of like operating a dig site. Yeah, Vendrick and Aldia spent decades digging, trying to find a solution and failed.
Maybe we could find something that they couldn't see.
Decades worth of methods that won't work, bringing us closer and closer to finding a cure for the curse. And that's the beauty of the second ending. It's not only in perfect sync with the rest of the game as it continues to make the curse the main plot of the story, but it gives us an option that we as players hadn't really considered up until this point. Dark Souls 1 did a phenomenal job of grooming us into believing that there were only 2 choices, but Dark Souls 2 refutes this claim and adds a third. As a final note, Dark Souls 2 was a brilliant game. I went into this game with mild expectations, but was blown away by how impressive the story was and how surprisingly easy it was to grasp. Many questions are still left unanswered and will never be answered, but I left this game with an understanding of its story, its themes, and what emotions it had intended to invoke in me, and that is incredibly admirable. But the world of Dark Souls isn't over. The fire of the world will fade once more, and yet despite the impending doom of the Age of Dark getting closer and closer, no one seems to care. But we'll talk about that in Dark Souls 3.
I am blown away by the story of Dark Souls 1 and Dark Souls 2. These games are truly amazing. They are honestly, God. They are honest to God. DS2 is shit my ass. Yeah. People saying that, I don't know if we played the same game. I don't know if it comes down again to a matter of perspective. The only thing I will say about Dark Souls 2, that my biggest gripes is that some of the bosses are very forgettable and ADP. That's literally it. Those are like the only 2 things. But like, even the story, like that elevated it to an 8 out of 10. I'm sorry. I think Dark Souls 3 is a 10 out of 10. At me all you want, don't care. And I think Dark Souls 1 and Dark Souls 2 are 8s out of 10 after watching this video. Wow. That is crazy. It's just very interesting that the foundation was still there in Dark Souls 2, and some of the same things were still happening. They were still happening. Manus' influence was still there. They still found the 4 Lord Souls and were influenced by each of them. Like, DS1, yes, the Lost Izalith, Witch of Izalith part got me. I'm not gonna lie, it really did, because that is fucking tragic. That is sad. That is actually sad. All she wanted to do was to give humanity a chance, and got punished for it. Gwen's bitch ass is over here slaughtering things with potential, and Seath's bitch ass is giving him the keys to do it by letting him know what the weakness is. Nito chillin'. Nito chillin'. Right? Damn, like, they're so... I want to know more. That's why I said this is a great gateway video, because it gives you the overall story, but then you want to know more about the characters. You want to know more about their motivations. You want to know more about where they came from. I want to know more. The only thing I can't agree on is DS3 being a 10 out of 10, but that's only because I think it's impossible to make a perfect game. Still in my top 5 games of all time. That's fair. That is fair. I love it. And it's only because I always say this, that I am simple, and the DS3's lore is just as good. Bet. I always say that I'm very simple, but I'm like, It doesn't take a lot to check my boxes, and I don't think that's a negative. It's like, if you give me a good story, you give me good characters, you give me a great world building, right? And then if it's a video game, you give me good gameplay. I'm not asking for much. I mean, I can't knock it down for certain points all because of minor things. Like, even something like Cuphead, I would say is a 10 out of 10. The art direction, the bosses, the world building, the characters. It's a very simple run and gun shooter, boss rush kind of game, and it works flawlessly. Even as DLC. Yeah, flawlessly. It's great, you know. This was good. This was good. So yeah, tomorrow I will come back. We're gonna finish up with Dark Souls 3 and maybe pick up another lore video on top of that. But yeah, this was fun. This was a lot of fun, man. Pong is 10 out of 10. Fair. Thank you guys for watching and coming through for the chill stream with your boy. Feel what I'm saying? Hopefully you guys had a good time. You know, we vibed out for a little bit, made some jokes, almost cried. You know what I'm saying? That shit was crazy though. I love y'all. I'll be back tomorrow with some more apparently Dark Souls 3. From 133.40 to 252.38. This shit's about to be long as fuck. See you, broski. Had a fun time. That's good. I'm glad y'all had a good time, man. I'll see you guys tomorrow for the next stream. I will work on some videos as well. See you tomorrow, yes sir. Peace.